Are you afraid of being mistaken or outed as a white supremacist? Doctors say Americans accidentally make Nazi salutes 6 to 8 times a year. That's why we've made Shoulder Lock, the safe way to stop your arm from exceeding the crucial Sieg Heil threshold. Allow me to demonstrate. I'm going to think the most racist thing I can, but it looks like I'm patting a small child on the head or perhaps assessing the height of a penguin, not a Nazi salute. But don't take my word for it.
Thanks to Shoulder Lock, nobody knows my secret.
What if someone makes an ambiguous gesture which could be a Nazi salute? We prescribe Don't Assume It All. When you're on Don't Assume It All and there's ambiguity, you err on the side of basic human decency. Side effects may include friendship, calm Thanksgiving dinners, and sharing a country with people with whom you disagree. What if you have emotional problems and you don't have sufficient data to argue with people about politics on policy issues? Well, in that case, we recommend a glass of Shut the F*** Up.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Pasta Jardula and Jose Vega. Confirmation bias, the RFK Jr. hearing. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Hello, everyone. Here we are. Welcome back to the Homeless Left. Thanks for joining us today. We have a great show planned for you today. We have Craig Pasta Jardula is going to be with us in here with us shortly, and we're hopefully going to be checking in with Jose Vega from the ground. He's in Washington, D.C. right now. Lots of action going on in D.C., not just the RFK Jr. hearings and the Tulsi hearings. We're going to be getting into all that today. We also had the plane crash last night, also in the DC area. So there's a lot going on, lot to kind of shift, just kind of get our hands in, get our feet wet, get dirty a little bit. But that's what our job is here, is to kind of go through and flush it all out for you. So we're going to do that together with you guys today. And yeah, we have some Trump stuff to cover as well, and some stuff still going on here in California with Newsom and the Olympics coming up in 2028. And it's looking like it might be that land grab thing after all. We're going to get into some of that a little later. But for now, I just want to remind you guys, we are here now Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we're on Rumble and X and our brand new burner channel on YouTube since our last one got terminated. So you guys can now find us on that burner channel. This is THL Presents on YouTube. They say we're not going to last long. We'll see. We're just experimenting. We're just not going to lay down and take it. We're going to keep finding new ways and creative ways to fight back against the censorship industrial complex, and the overlords and the globalists and everyone who actually controls the world. We're doing our best to fight back. Even if we have to go down swinging, we will, but we won't take it lying down. We also have our locals. So please, guys, check us out. Locals /support. You can find us through Rumble. Rumble's been our home base. Rumble's been the place. And X, by the way. We're in the middle of a censorship industrial complex. It's a surveillance world as well. We understand that we're getting surveillance on all of these different networks. They're monitoring everything, and we understand that. But one thing we have to give Rumble and Twitter a little credit for is that they don't cut off our feed. We might get shadow banned a little, but they don't cut off our feed. We can actually have the conversations. We don't get emails from them saying your channel's been terminated. So that's good. That's good news with that. So let's see what else. Okay. If you're just finding us for the first time, you've been regularly watching us, I want to remind everyone what we're doing here on this channel. This is about anybody who is feeling uneasy about the state of politics, our economy, our society over these last few years. If you feel the party that you thought you were part of, the team you thought you were part of, the tribe you thought you were part of, if you're feeling like they're letting you down, you're not allowed to even ask them questions. You get pushback just for raising your hand. They tell you to shut the F up. If you no longer want to play that game, the game of tribalism, identity politics, red team, blue team, if you're sick and tired of the hate and division being sold to us by the mainstream media every single day, by the propagandists, if you're told you're sick and tired of punching down at people, at your neighbors, at your family and friends, and you're ready to start punching up with us here on the Homeless Left, this is the place for you. Homeless Left, that's our story. That's my story. Where are you homeless from? You might be from the right, homeless middle, homeless up, homeless down, homeless upside down. It don't matter. We're all homeless together. So just thank you again for being part of what we're doing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our co-host for today, Craig Pasta Jardula.
Hey, what's going on, Matt? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Hanging in there. How have you been?
Well, listening to your opening monologue over here when you were talking about some of the stuff, people are homeless. They don't want to play the tribal mentality anymore, so they walked away. I think a lot of people on Team Tulsi and Team RFK got a lot of pie in their face today. And, I think that they're just, wow. I mean, that was bad today. Today and yesterday, I haven't been able to check out the Kash Patel one. I was never a big Kash Patel fan, but I'm sure glad that my job as the Fourth Estate is to hold power accountable. And now that these guys are potentially joining in an extensive role, the power mechanism, right? Wow. A lot of things to talk about today, man. I'm telling you that much. I put something in our personal chat there. If you can answer that question for me, Matt, too, as well, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, just freaking nuts today. And, I haven't really been able to look at a lot of the situation, what's going on the ground as far as in D.C. I wonder if Jamie's gotten any information over there, too, as well. I don't know what to think of that. I just saw that it was on all of the news yesterday. I actually put on some mainstream media to see if they were going to go over the hearing yesterday. And they didn't have to because they instead were talking about what happened in D.C. I did see, Matt, that they did pull a Army helicopter pilot out of the water today, I think. So I don't know if that really puts an end to what we thought that it could be remote control. So that's interesting.
All right. Well, don't give away the ending yet, the spoiler alert. But we're gonna take some time with that story because as you guys know this. Look, when news breaks, and this is a perfect example, when news breaks, our job as independent journalists, and your job too, as independent-minded thinkers, your job and our job is to be skeptical right away. What are they not telling us? It could be completely innocent. It could be, hey, we're trying to get you guys as much information as possible. Great. But it's our job to be skeptical off the top. What is it? What is being hidden? Because that's the game plan every time. There's always something hidden. It's always top down. You're on a need to know basis. And then they have to maneuver when we find stuff out. They have to criticize and punch down and call people conspiracy theorists for asking questions. Our job is to ask those questions. So we're going to be doing that with all the stories. We always do that. For you guys that watch our shows, you guys know, you watch a Homeless Left, you watch Truthwire, Pasta to Go. You guys know the drill. We ask questions, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. So we're going to certainly be asking questions about this. And this just broke last night. So we are going to be getting into that later during Top Censored News. We generally like to start the show off with Top Censored News on Thursdays. However, today I think we're going to just get right to the RFK stuff and Tulsi stuff, because that's been kind of the last 2 days ongoing. And it's something we've been looking at leading up to these last couple of days. We've understood that this is probably the most significant. These are the most significant appointees in Trump's entire echelon of people that he's been putting in, and some have been getting in, some have not. We've been critical of all of them, really. But I think this is the moment of truth for RFK. Do you want to start? We'll start off what happened yesterday, Craig, with the RFK situation. Sure. So what happened was, and I'm going to put this up first.
I'm glad that we're starting with the RFK stuff, Matt, because I am in several Tulsi groups and Twitter, and my guesstimation is that by the end of the show, I'll be blocked and thrown out a couple of those groups today. So that's what I'm betting, but we'll see.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because I think there's a chance that I might be able to talk you off the ledge on a couple of these things. Because I mean,
probably zero chance of that. Probably zero chance.
No. I'm going to give myself a little bit of optimistic credit here that I'm not going to change your mind on stuff, but there's something about we can take responsibility for our frame of mind, our kind of our emotional state, how we respond to things that we shouldn't be shocked at. We should understand how systems work, right? Like just from a scientific method, we should understand how things work and be okay with that, and just make adjustments as need be.
No, right off the bat, we're not okay with that. We're not okay with that. That's why we're here, is because we are pushing back against the system itself. We're not going to capitulate. So you're already off of a bad start, but I appreciate it and I love it, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey,
I
you know
think
what?
You'll be agreeing with me. I think you'll be blocked by Tulsi people by the end of the show.
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll see who wins the fight. We'll see who wins it. It's a friendly match. We'll do a little friendly match today. Even though I think we actually do agree on like all this stuff. We just kind of, okay. So here, hold on a second. I'm trying to find this one thing. This is important because I want you guys to see the way this started out yesterday before the hearings even got going. And I have, shoot, I didn't have to pull this screenshot. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull this out. This was caught by a reporter in the room looking over the shoulder of another reporter, mainstream reporter, who apparently had already determined the headline before the hearing started. And so this kind of shows you what RFK Jr. is already up against. So we'll go with the video first. So this is the little catch over the shoulder. Okay. So what did we discover is this. The shot on the screen is this one. Okay. So they pre-write these stories about RFK. They tell us RFK Jr. faces grilling on anti-vaccine comments and animal mutilation at confirmation hearing. Trump live update. So look, they're preparing what is going to be happening, and this is the idea is that like obviously you can represent a independent voice and be in there in the room and be like, I'm going to report on this honestly. You know who does that? Our guy Jose Vega is in the room right now reporting honestly. If you're with a mainstream outlet that is paid for by Big Pharma, paid for by military industrial complex, you have already predetermined your story. So I just wanted to put that out there that we understand in context what we're going through to start this thing off. So,
okay.
So can we go for it? You
want me to give my opinion on that, or I mean, because I think really quick. I mean, this we should have done a segment here: surprised or not surprised, right?
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you, Steve, just leaking the information out there right now, I'm very surprised by both RFK and Tulsi they're hearing today. I didn't think they would go that deep in the paint as far as appeasing the Congress, right? I've said this before. Sometimes when you win, you actually lose. Sometimes when you lose, you will actually win, and we'll get into that. But it is no surprise to me that the mainstream media was already planning what to say. And this could also be one of those situations where maybe she had a source that said that they were going to ask these particular questions. So, I mean, once again, this is not that big of a surprise to me to see the mainstream media do this, because also, too, that's why we're here, right? We understand that they are not, and they should be held just as accountable as our lawmakers or our potential lawmakers. Anybody who wants to run for office, you know, they should be held accountable for their actions too as well. I didn't expect nuanced questions for, RFK, and I didn't expect nuanced questions for Tulsi Gabbard. Really, to tell you the truth, you know, they're getting grilled by senators in there. They're getting grilled by lawmakers and the donors via donors to make sure that they do the job that they're supposed to do when they get in there. So they're not, we the people have no representation, and I don't think that's a surprise either. But that does not surprise me to see the mainstream media and any other type of media start to get ready to push their propaganda, you know, to control the narrative. So yeah, not a surprise to me, Matt. It really was like, okay.
Well, let's look at the first attack from yesterday, just so we, again, get a perspective of what we have going into. So this is where you're getting called a conspiracy theorist. Jamie, can you bring that one up? The conspiracy theorist. I think Craig had retweeted it from Alex Jones. Let's watch the clip, and then we'll see Alex and Craig have differences on what we just watched. Let's watch a little bit of this clip.
I got a real quick question for you. Are you a conspiracy theorist?
That is a pejorative, Senator, that's applied to me mainly to keep me from asking difficult questions of powerful interest. I was told that I was a conspiracy theorist. That label was applied to me because I said that the vaccines, the COVID vaccine, didn't prevent transmission and it wouldn't prevent infection, when the government was telling people, Americans, that it would. I was saying that because I was looking at the monkey studies in May of 2020. I was called a conspiracy. Now everybody admits it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said red dye caused cancer. And now FDA has acknowledged that and banned it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said fluoride lowered IQ. Last week, JAMA published a meta-review of 87 studies saying that there's a direct inverse correlation between IQ loss.
All right, so I'm going to assume
I could go on for about a week.
Is there any one of them that you can say, you got me? That really was a conspiracy theory, or are you in a position to submit for the record? I think it'd just be helpful for every one of these narratives for you to submit that maybe for the record.
These are just—
let's pause it there. So on the tweet, Alex Jones says that, boom, RFK Jr. just blew up the conspiracy theorist monkey, or the spell has been broken. And I just want to, I know, Craig, you're saying you're not thinking that this is anything of any sort of anything because RFK Jr. is later going to go on and say that he's all for Operation Warp Speed. Is that's the point you're making, right? You're
well,
saying
there's a little bit more to it. I think that we have to understand the context and where we're coming from, what the system is designed to do, right? We're in an age where now it's mainstream to talk about what Epstein did, right? It was released to flight logs. There once was a time where the conspiracy theory community, which is actually called truthers, right? The truther movement, were separate. It was taboo from what was going on. And then eventually it started bleeding on over to now everything is a psyop, right? It's gotten so crazy and out of hand. But when we're in these situations, when we understand what RFK is meant to do, because RFK goes, his denial essentially goes all the way up to the top. His unwillingness to call out the Zionist nation, right? And knowing, understanding, you know, how Israel had a relationship with Pfizer, what Netanyahu did, and except not touching them and allying with them, is the system is supposed to give you something that you emotionally attach yourself to. In other words, it's not the fact that they lie all the time. It's that they tell the truth 90% of the time, but then 10% of the time they lie. And they lie about the main reasons. They don't allow you to connect the dots, and they leave you astray. That is who RFK has become. That's who he is. So Alex Jones is supposed to recognize that. Probably the responsibility of Alex Jones for his network, a guy who's built his whole business, his model on exposing what the government's trying to hide you, right? And Alex Jones has become prey to this too as well. In other words, Alex Jones and RFK are working on the same level right now. They're there to lead you astray. They'll tell you 90% truth, but the 10% of the lie is what's happening right now. And Alex Jones is actually buying into it when he's saying RFK is taking down the deep state. No, he's not. He's aiding the deep state at the end of the day.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Does
look.
that make sense?
No, it does. And I think if people didn't hear yesterday, do you want to play the clip, the Operation Warp Speed that he's
Yes.
championing? Let's do that. Yeah, that's the next one. Jamie. Operation Warp Speed. Not
I have a question for you on Project Warp Speed. We supported the CARES Act. We had 97 people in the U.S. Senate vote for it. Everybody here. There's only one member of Congress that voted against it, I believe. And Project Warp Speed had CDC, FDA, NIH, and BARDA very much in the mix. Now, some people think that you're going to come in here and insert yourself into those agencies in a way that's never been done before. Let's say that they're a part of a future Project Warp Speed. Is it your intent to go in and do something that's never been done before, based on my staff's research, and insert yourself in a discussion that the scientists are dealing with in those different agencies?
No, Senator. What I want to do is, I'm not a scientist. I want to empower scientists. I want to make sure that science is unobstructed by vested or economic interests.
That's good.
Or by bad culture. And I'll just say about Operation Warp Speed, it was an extraordinary accomplishment, showed demonstration of leadership by President Trump. When he promoted Operation Warp Speed, he was looking at all of the different remedies, including vaccines,
therapeutics, everything.
Therapeutic, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, famotidine, even chlorine dioxide. And he was not looking at shutting down our country for the year, forcing people to wear masks for a year, forcing all social distancing that did not have any scientific basis, which Dr. Fauci has now acknowledged. He said we took it out of thin air. But all of those changed during the Biden administration. And it became very narrowly focused. We ended up with the worst, the highest death count of any country in the world.
okay. Look,
Ow.
look, that stings to hear. But the politics that are happening. So he's saying, I want to say that what Trump did was better than what Biden did because he had all these other things he was looking at. Biden didn't look at any of those things. So that's his justification why Operation Warp Speed was good, because other things were on the table too. Although we know personally that the other things were taken off the table. We know that he took hydroxychloroquine off the table deliberately. He told Dr. Zelenko, we know personally, we heard his brother tell the story about how that Frank Zelenko came on our show, told us that his brother was in the room with Trump. He said, I know this stuff works, but I can't do it because my team thinks it's a sure thing. I'm going to get my second win. My second term is a guarantee if I get Operation Warp Speed going. So sorry about that. Can't do it. So we know that he did not actually let these other things happen. So when we hear RFK talk like that, I'm with you, Craig. It's infuriating to see him trying to elevate something that didn't actually do any of those things, and it hurt people. But my question to you is, how would he present it differently and to get a different outcome that would allow him to get to the next step, which is to get this confirmation? How would you have presented it if you were coaching him? How would he present it differently to get closer to that goal?
Well, if I'm being honest, I would never coach him to get the nomination, because to get the nomination, you have to lie and you have to appease the donors and the congressman. So I wouldn't be able to do that unless I was lying to myself to do it. And if I was lying to myself, I would instruct him to do exactly what he did. And, what Tulsi did today too, as well. That's what I think that's where we have our disagreements. Now, first of all, let's just digress for a second back to what he said over there, the accomplishment he used. And I know that's what hurt more than anything. But what he's doing now is damage control. And you presented something that's great insight, what you talk about with Frank Zelenko when he said right there that he pulled this stuff off the table. I mean, I was scratching my head when I believed that he was sincere when he let Dr. Richard Bright and Janet Woodcock sink his fucking executive order, right? I mean, they could just completely misrepresented it. They gave people hydroxychloroquine 10 days into having COVID when it's supposed to be used in a cocktail, a certain amount for early treatment, right? You know, that's what the whole ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine. And I was very perplexed when it happened. But that's when you have to also realize that it is not two parties, right? It's one party moving together with the appearance, playing kabuki theater to look different. So therefore, you're concentrated on, you know, pointing the finger at people who think differently than you on the opposite side of the team instead of looking up and understanding that it's one mechanism moving together. What RFK is doing here is damage control, right? He's trying to, you know, appease the donors and appease the people that are in that room to get the job, you know what I'm saying, rather than represent the Constitution and the people, which you're supposed to be representing. Like I said, at the beginning of the show, I'm very glad that as a journalist, political commentator, our job as the fourth estate, right, is to hold power accountable. So I don't have to worry about playing team sports anymore, especially when I recognize that it's just one team. And with that being said, what would be really more effective, Matt, that would represent the people? If RFK, if we had the RFK that wrote the book, The Real Dr. Anthony Fauci, the RFK who spoke at Defeat the Mandates, the RFK who said, you know, no way would I agree to this vaccine schedule, the RFK who probably gave a thumbs up to the onesie, you know, that RFK there, he would not get confirmed for that position. But guess what it would do? It would be way more effective for the people who believe in them, who put him there, and for society in this situation, because then he would expose even deeper, more, you know, the people that are holding the same system in play. So in other words, if RFK and Tulsi Gabbard would stick to the people they once represented and not acted like frauds today and yesterday, it would be much more effective for the people, because they would even highlight even more the system that we already understand is not working. You know what I'm saying? Because then it would be somebody stepping up and just say, you just tanked that whole hearing. You know you're not going to get confirmed. Yeah, but I told the truth. And I spoke the truth. And I said these things before, and I mean by them. Because right now, the people who represented Tulsi before, and you're talking to somebody here, right? Tulsi came to my house, right? Into my studio, in my room, in the house where me and Fiorella lived. You know, she opened up her campaign to us. We used to love the fact that she would have a press gaggle at every single event that she had, right? I mean, she would not hide. I mean, in fact, certain people, her adversaries at the time, when I was very supportive of her, would use our videos against her. You know what I'm saying? Because we were just asking honest questions, even if we didn't agree with her or not. That Tulsi was not in the room today. It was not the same Tulsi that we had, you know, it wasn't even like a slight deviation. It was a hard, let me capitulate to the ruling class, to the Congress, to the Senate. And here's the thing. Never, ever, and I don't want to hear the 4D chess theory, the 4D chess argument. Well, you got to get the job, but if you really want to get there and make change. Never once has somebody capitulated, then got in the room and reversed roles. Because those same people that are confirming you are the same people that you need on your side to affect change. And if that's how they're acting then, they'll act like that then when you have a chance to make a change. It's never going to work. Like I said, it would have been a lot better had she done so. And I mean, I have a list of things that I'm just like, I can't even believe.
Look, we'll get to Tulsi in a moment. I want to do the matchup of Bernie and RFK. It started yesterday, continued today. It's pretty wild. But you're talking about people who, if they run on something and they actually get in, are they actually going to do anything? That's the question. AOC is a great example of somebody who gets in and does the exact opposite of what she took people's money and votes for. Bernie is worse, because Bernie ran on the thing and then he caved before he had a chance to get in. He would have gotten in. We all know he would have won in 2016 if he actually pushed his way through and fought against the Democratic machine, or at least called them out and exposed them after they hijacked it.
Yeah.
But he never did those things. But he talks about healthcare being a human right. How interesting. Let's see him try and get RFK Jr. to say healthcare is a human right. And let's break these down, because you got these two guys who at one point in time, all of us, have been in this populist movement, this champion of both of them at some point, thinking that they were going to take on the system. Let's see how it goes, putting these guys together. Here we go.
You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines.
All right.
I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So
Senator Black.
I'm going to back that up with the part with the healthcare. So let's play this one real quick too, and I want to talk about both.
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Healthcare a human right? Is healthcare a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right,
Yeah.
I would say it's different, because with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now taking from the pool.
Well,
and so are you guaranteed the same right, or is there also a duty?
I'm sorry. I'd love to talk for an hour with you. We got a few minutes left here. All right. Every other country on earth says healthcare, whether you're poor or rich, young or old, is a human right. I'm not hearing you say that. All right. You've talked about the drug companies, and maybe we agree.
Okay, so lots to look at there. The healthcare line that we just heard, this is, from my opinion, this is Bernie using the opportunity to try and expose RFK as somebody who doesn't actually care about healthcare. The problem is that Bernie's is in the minority in that room, because all of his quote unquote friends, Joe Biden is his good friend, Kamala, all these people have caved on this issue and not been about healthcare being a human right. So it's interesting that he chooses now to make a big speech about it to RFK. That's my take on that one. As far as the other one goes, yeah, that was Bernie. I'll score a point for him on the previous one, where he's exposing the RFK. How can you have this company that you started, and then today you're saying you're pro-vaccine, but that company's allowing people to be healthy and have, express themselves on these t-shirts, on these onesies, and say, I'm okay not being vaxxed. So how do you justify that? So I'll give point to Bernie on the first one, but second one is a draw. I don't think Bernie scored any points, because we know that he only says the healthcare line when it's convenient, which is basically every 4 years, and then he shuts up about it. But that we know. So we know that game plan. Your thoughts on both of those clips?
I think I align with you a little bit too as well. I'd say the first one was definitely a win for Bernie. I'm saying, because he did call away his win. When RFK says I'm pro-vaccine or I'm pro-vaccines, does that align with his previous rhetoric? I mean, he's built a name for being, and then there's once again, he has said before in the past that he just wants good science for vaccines, but he knows that the majority of vaccines, especially the ones on the schedule, and he said this before, he wrote the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, right, are not good, and once again, should be a situation where he should be using this opportunity saying, listen, some vaccines serve a purpose, some do not. And at the very least, we should drop all the qualified immunity for these vaccines, because if they're going to produce a health product, it should be safe and effective. And a lot of times we're seeing that it's not. He's leaving out the fact that he says he wants the real science, and that the real science said a lot of these vaccines are not safe and effective, right? Whether you believe in that or not, that's up to you. But there's been a lot of scientists and other people in his circle who have said those things. So I thought that Bernie really called him out right there and exposed him on that more than anything. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but you're good for this here. Because once again, RFK has now been two-faced, where he's gone around and told people in groups and societies and interviews and at Defeat the Mandates and, all these other places that, he's with them and stands with them on what had happened, and how, if you read that book, The Real Anthony Fauci, and you look into it, it just shows you this whole takeover. So now, as far as the first part is concerned, the second video you played, we kind of reverse engineered to play it backwards. That is something too as well. I think that I would definitely say it was a missed opportunity. I would have said that RFK should say, listen, I'm with you, Bernie. I understand. I don't want to see so many people dying out there. When people ask me, do I want Medicare for all? I say, no way, but not just because of the system. We don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. And I surely don't want to hand it over to Big Pharma and all these oligarchs who own all these hospitals. And no way. I don't want to do that. But, RFK, he does have a plan where he says he wants to take all the processed foods out of schools. He should have said to Bernie right there, like, Bernie, I want to make sure that everybody, if we can, we don't want to bankrupt a single person on this world, in our country, for needing health care and whatnot. We understand we have an imperfect system, but I want to make sure we're keeping people healthy on the front end. And I am looking forward to sitting down and talking with you on ways we can find a way to make this happen, where two different parties have two different ideologies, but we can come to some form of agreement and we can take care of more people. And my suggestion is, let's stop them from getting sick, Senator. And I think you should agree.
That would be That's how you win that argument. We go to the heart of the problem, the root of it, and we stop them from being sick. And you can use language like, we have an obligation, we have a duty to get health care to people. We have a duty to allow it to be accessible. There's other language you can use without saying, I agree it's a human right, because he's going to get, obviously, because he's going to get pushed back from the Trump camp. So that's why he tried to get him on that. But Bernie did not get a point there, because we know his good friend Joe Biden, he never calls him out on it. So come on, dude. Biden said famously, I will veto any healthcare bill that comes, any universal healthcare or Medicare bill on my desk. I will veto it. So don't you pretend that, this is the moment we go for a moral compass here. No way.
Yeah.
There's a follow-up here. This happened today. This is very recent. This just happened today. This is the second day, as you guys know, the second day of the hearings. So Bernie was back in action. RFK was back. And this was probably one of my favorite moments I saw this morning. And it's like a rematch with Bernie and RFK. Watch this, Pasta, and then let's talk about this one real quick, and then we'll get to the Tulsi stuff.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
And
protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
Contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate
PACs. You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question. You have not answered my question.
Wow.
I would really like to see the whole exchange. And to tell you the truth, that is something. Listen, if Leslie wanted to donate to Bernie Sanders at one point because she thought that it was, listen, I can tell you this much from what I'm going through right now. I'm like literally getting texts on the phone from the rehab that my mother's on. And I have this quest I've gone through for the last 3 months. There are amazing people in this industry that work in this industry. Some of the people I've loved the most have been the therapists that are taking care of my mother. And a lot of these therapists, a lot of these workers, a lot of nurses, a lot of people who do the jobs underneath the doctors. I'm going to exclude the doctors from a second because, yeah, even doctors probably agree, but they make a lot of money. So let's exclude them for a second. But everybody working under those doctors that really make the hospitals go the way they are, the people who spend the majority of time with the patients, if they want to invest to see a different type of system because they've seen people die because they don't get the insurance they need, or they see people get more sick because they get a claim to stamp no, they have every right to do so. And I think that RFK trying to twist that is bullshit. Once again, RFK should use this moment with Bernie right now to say, let's build a bridge, man. Let's do this. I understand what you're saying, right? But you know,
Craig,
he could have went after the attack that you said, by the way, talking about, well, where were you in, holding Joe Biden accountable, right? That would have been more of an attack than saying, okay,
but
go
this
back
part,
to each
okay,
other.
okay, but the money is important. This is what it's all about. This is the entire problem is the money, right? The entire problem is the payouts. It's the revolving doors. We see this. This is the whole problem with the system. It's rigged for the money, the upward transfer of wealth, the revolving door situation. These people like Bernie who pretend, and he tried to do it there. You saw him squirm. He was squirming, and it's the same squirming he did, especially in 2020, because he bent over so far back for the pharmaceutical companies. Craig, he was lying right there. Do you understand? He was lying. This is what we know happened in 2020. Bernie Sanders took more money than any of these people. And Elizabeth Warren is next on that list. This is a donation. Now he can try and pretend, oh, it didn't directly come from the CEO. It didn't directly come. That's what he was trying to do, this little thing. But this money is in his bank account for a reason. So he plays the role that he's supposed to play, makes us think that he's taking on big pharma, taking on the military industrial complex, taking on blah, 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 blah. He's not taking on shit. And that's something that RFK Jr. hit out of the park in that moment. I agree with you. He should have been better on that healthcare question yesterday. But today, this is what people want to see. And Bernie was squirming right there. He was squirming and he was lying. And we know that he's lying because he lied to his internal staff at the beginning of the 1920 campaign. He lied to, it was Nick Brana and 16 other associates that were there with him the whole time. And they said, Bernie, we noticed that you're not doing the thing you did last time. You're actually bending up, you're getting money outside of the donations that you're claiming are from the people. We see it, man. You have to stop doing this. And they ultimated him, man. They said, Bernie, if you don't stop taking this money from up here, we're going to walk. And he looked back at them and he said, and this is from Nick Brana, he said, and it was validated by others because there were other people in that room. There were like 16 people in the room at that time. They did an intervention. They did a Bernie intervention. You have to stop taking money from these corporations. Stop it. And if you don't, we're walking. And Bernie said to them, I don't want to be Ralph Nader. And they said, then we know then that's your answer. And they all left. They walked out the effing door. That's what happened.
I don't want to be in the habit. I don't want to be in the habit of sticking up for Bernie Sanders. I definitely think he's a capitulator. But I think when it comes to this situation, I'd like to see, and I'm surely not going to take Nick Brana's word on this, but I surely want to like to see the receipts on where that money is coming from. Like I said, it's very different than a nurse or a RN or, you know, a nurse's assistant or the people who are working in the healthcare industry, the workers of the healthcare industry that understand the system and see it for what it is and donate that money. I just like to see more receipts on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I don't want to get into the habit of, going after Bernie Sanders. It's a big difference from taking money from workers than it is taking $100 million from Miriam Adelson, for instance. Right. Okay. I'm saying huge difference. But I'd like to see the breakdown on that money. And if he did take it from corporations, actually, where the boards are cutting him checks, where executives are cutting him checks, then he should be held accountable and should shut his mouth. I mean, I'm more upset with Bernie, not upset, but more like, Jesus, Bernie, just shut up when he brings the climate change into it or the pro-choice, pro-life argument, you know what I'm saying? Which, once again, is the argument needs to be unwanted pregnancies. But him bringing climate change into the whole thing was just, come on, Bernie, like, shut the fuck up already. You know what I'm saying? If you were really about climate change and you were concerned about the climate, you'd be concerned about the thing that affects the climate the most from human beings, and that's dropping bombs. You're pro-Ukraine war, for crying out loud. So
Beauty and the Boomer. It's true.
Yeah.
Go to Open Secrets. Look at.
I understand, but how many people donated that money there? That's a lump sum saying from one industry.
So
You know,
there was
Bernie is telling the truth where he got a bunch of money from nurses.
He hit it.
and
This is why his people, and I'm only saying Nick Bronick because I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the names of the other people, but this was validated.
Yeah, but Matt, we should just look for a breakdown. There'll be a breakdown of how many people gave him that money. It's out there somewhere.
He found sneaky ways to hide it in other ways, and and his team found it. They go, dude, you're pretending that your entire campaign is funded by the people. It's not. This $27 is BS, man. And he found another way to launder it to his campain. That's what he did.
I don't want to get in the habit of standing up for Bernie Sanders anymore.
Okay.
I'm not doing that. But I just like to see a breakdown of that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, look, we'll follow it up. This is more on level of what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't condone any money coming from corporations, boards, individuals like Marian Adelson. We understand when you take that money, it's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? He's making the argument that it's coming from nurses and registered nurses and therapists and, those people who do that work that want to see a change. First of all, they shouldn't believe Bernie Sanders is going to make a change anyways, because he's going to always capitulate to power anyways. So it doesn't really make a difference, right? And if you are one of those people, you threw your money away, you might as well just light it on fire, because Bernie Sanders will never stand up to my friend Joe Biden and whatnot. But I mean, it's a big difference if those people are donating the money as opposed to Marian Adelson. That's all I got to say. I don't condone it the other way, but individuals having to play the game. What Bernie Sanders, the $27 an hour a person in the first campaign, that's what I was all about. And I think that went out the window after Philadelphia in 2016,
I'm going to just because Kelly's been on here. Thank you, Kelly's Swords. Kelly's words. I will never forget Bernie delegates crying in the bathroom in Philly 2016. This shit is on purpose to kill everyone's hope. Yeah, that was the moment, man. Like I saw that. I watched that. I saw that. That was horrible. That was horrible. If it wasn't on purpose, we didn't know at the time. We thought he was like the victim here, and we needed it. Like Bernie's gonna come back. He's got to. That was the left. That was our version of 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D chess, right? We thought Bernie was playing that. So now we're seeing the Trumpers have the same excuses now. The 6D chess. We said Bernie has to stay quiet. He can't say anything about Hillary and the DNC. He's figuring out a plan. He's going to come back 4 years later, 2019, 2020. He's going to have a plan for us. Oh no, he's not. Oh, he's saying that Putin is the reason he's number one in the polls, January 2020. Oh, he's saying Joe Biden's my friend. Oh, he's got a plan. No, he doesn't have a plan. That was on purpose. Yeah, everyone crying and being told by Sarah Silverman and Hillary Clinton, shut your mouth. Stop your whining. Stop your crying. So that's. I mean, we know that. Let me
just say this much, Matt.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole process, both people in the room, right? All those people in the room are full of shit. Let's be honest. The person asking the questions, the person answering the questions, and they just proved that everybody. I mean, it's disgusting the narratives the lawmakers are pushing. And, it was disgusting seeing these people capitulate to them, It doesn't surprise me that Bernie Sanders is going to ask a lot of those questions the way he's going to ask them. We already know he's full of shit. I think the jury wasn't out completely on RFK and Tulsi, and it should be now.
Okay.
So,
well, we can move on to, if you want to move on to Tulsi, let's do
we
that.
don't have any more bagging on RFK?
Well, we have Elizabeth Warren trying the same crap Bernie did, man.
Well, we shouldn't let Elizabeth Warren slip through. We should at least bag on her.
Let's see Elizabeth Warren, that fearless defender of the people and their right to what? Oh, that's right. She doesn't defend people. She defends corporations. That's right.
Let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS.
I'm sorry, is this a commercial for RFK? I'm like, that's great. He can change all those things. That's awesome. She's saying it like it's really bad.
And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here.
By the way, he had to change his rhetoric, and that's what I caught. Like, you're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies. It's like, this would have been a great fucking back and forth had he taken the position we thought he was going to take. But since he was pro-vaccine, you know what I'm saying? Elizabeth Warren should have adjusted. Well, now that I know that you're pro-vaccine, I guess you won't be doing all this stuff. That's great. You know what I'm saying?
That like actually would have been a good, yeah.
She's so underprepared. And at the end of the day, I mean, it does show you she does represent a lot of the Democrats out there. They're going to be pro-vaccine no matter what. And it's really a shame that RFK was a different person, you know. I mean, at the end of the the little press room out there, when she says, and then no vaccines for anybody.
Let's throw that up. I know. Let's throw that up. Here it is.
No vaccines for everybody.
Continue to make money off his anti-vax position. Look, he says he won't go to work for drug companies because the American people have a right to know that the decisions made while he is Secretary of HHS are only for the good of the American people. And yet, he wants to keep a piece of the action on every one of these anti-vax lawsuits. And what that means potentially is, as Secretary of HHS, he can make those lawsuits a whole lot more profitable. In fact, he may have the opportunity to bankrupt the vaccine manufacturers, and then nobody gets vaccine.
And then nobody gets vaccine. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he would have taken this opportunity to take the position that a lot of people thought he had? I mean, he would have never got confirmed. Who cares? He could have used this time here to blow up the whole freaking Senate. And the way they are connected to the pharmaceutical industry, the vaccine manufacturers, and he understands where the vaccine manufacturers are from. What it's like, what I tell somebody that I have a difference of opinion with when it comes to somebody who says, "Pasta, I'm with you on your stance on Palestine, but I'm not with you on your vaccines." And I said, "Well, you know, those people, the same people who manufactured the bombs to be dropped in Gaza, are also the ones who manufactured the science on the vaccines." What? Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Had he used this moment in this time, never gotten confirmed, but have done more and gone right back into the Maha movement outside and work outside the system. But, I mean, that's the whole thing. Do you want a job, or do you want to really stand behind not just your principles, with your alleged principles, but the principles of the people who put you there in the first place, what you're supposed to represent?
Yeah. Well,
so
look,
missed opportunity, complete exposure.
Look, what we do know is this. We know that the people that showed up for RFK Jr. were politically all over the spectrum. There were people that believe that he is the only hope they have. And I appreciate your commentary. You're holding RFK Jr. accountable when he shifts and maneuvers and acts like a snaky politician. But the thing that we can't ignore is when you step back from that, his little maneuvering and changing his verbiage, you have people that have showed up for a confirmation hearing. We've never seen this before in the history of our country. We've never seen this many people all over the spectrum showing up in support of taking down this corrupt healthcare and food system. That's what RFK Jr. is representing. That's his messaging through Maha, right? That is the idea. So it could be theater in the sense like, what do you do? And you made this point earlier, and I agree. There's a conundrum to it, right? When you get in, if you have to make stuff up to get in, and then you're going to do things right. Where's the outline for that? Where's the game plan? We haven't seen that ever done. There's no blueprint for that. That's never happened. So it is an idea. It is like this pipe dream that we have, that if there's a way to maneuver in, we can do this. We can do this thing. So I'm not sitting here claiming anything's even going to get done when he gets in. What I am saying though is there was a movement behind him. And if you're sitting in that room and your job is to take RFK Jr. down and vote against him, you are on the wrong side of history. That's my macro assessment today, Craig, is that the people showed up for RFK. The people in that room know that they showed up for RFK. If you're voting against him today, you're voting against history. That's it. Can we just have that idea out there? And you can also be you're right about all the maneuvering as well. That isn't okay.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by they're voting against history, right? It's a different time. It's a different era. There's more information out there, right? I think everybody has changed. Everybody has maneuvered. You can honestly say that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, there's never been quite a type of person like him to hold office right now. And the games have changed. So, I mean, I don't know what that means exactly, and I think that I think there's going to be a lot of people. Well, first of all, let's be honest. The people who are in the room for RFK and the ones who are in the room for Tulsi, we're okay with her being dishonest. We're okay with him being capitulating to the Zionist nation. You know what I'm saying? So I think that those people are already there that are going to allow them to have a pass no matter what, and that means that they're really not there for their principles. They're there more for a hero worshiping mentality. And they don't want to listen to the truth. Like I said, what would have been more effective for the Constitution itself, right? Those Constitution people there, those civil liberties people who, eventually started supporting Tulsi to begin with. She got a lot of support for from the libertarians when in 2020 that I met. But a lot of them, some of them are stuck with her, but some of them said, no way. Especially her stance on 702. Saying you're going to stand behind your OK 702 and you're okay and you support people's Fourth Amendment rights is a complete contradictory. That's it. You can't have one or the other. If you support 702, you do not support the Fourth Amendment. So, right. I mean, what we saw today was a phony politician trying to say that you can have it both ways. We'll get into it with Tulsi. And another person in, like I said, the book, the real Dr. Fauci. I mean, you just read that book and everything he said today, yesterday and today contradicted what was in that book. It contradicted everything he said. So, I mean, like I said, I can tell you what I would have done, and I would have not got confirmed, but I would have represented the people, the constituents that put me there, that were on this journey with me from the get-go, and they were there for Tulsi because of her Fourth Amendment opinions and her anti-imperialism and her positions on the Fourth Amendment, and that wasn't there today in the room. They were there with RFK because he was pushing back against vaccine manufacturers, you know what I'm saying? And to make a blanket statement like I'm pro-vaccine. It's those people who showed up today. I hope there's some of them that are turning around and said, okay, that's it. I mean, throughout this whole experience, I've learned, especially after what we've seen with the Libertarian Party, which is supposed to be anti-duopoly, and a lot of them capitulated to the duopoly, that it's done. It's over with, right? For me, at least, I'm not going to make excuses for anybody ever again. I'm kind of happy that I'm in the position to call myself a journalist or a political commentator, because then I don't have to play team sports anymore, because internally, personally, I don't feel like playing team sports anymore. And I don't want to make excuses for anybody anymore. We shouldn't be doing that, and the people who we trust the most and we give them more trust and power, those are the ones who deserve the most criticism when they have moments like they did today and yesterday.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to Tulsi here in a moment. I feel inspired to just hear, this is a 5-minute clip. We don't have to hear the whole thing, but I think you're going to be drawn into it. This is Rand Paul starting things off today. Yeah. And what he's doing is, and this is important, he's taking an approach where he's asking the people in the room to start thinking of using their critical thinking skills better, using their scientific reasoning better in how they think about stuff. And so it is a macro approach. It's challenging people's ability to think versus told what to think. And I think it's a phenomenal place to start a conversation with anybody who hasn't been paying attention. And I don't think he's doing this for the people voting. I think he's doing this for the cameras or people watching at home, people that see this on Twitter, people that share this with friends and family. That's my take going in. If we just hear a little of this, and then we'll get to the Tulsi thing. I just think this is important because I think that he's saying something to people that maybe are paying attention for the first time and they're watching RFK getting hammered and smeared, and they want to hear what do you have to say about healthcare? What do you have to say about the vaccine companies? What do you have to say about how we go about science? Well, listen to this, just a little bit of this. Here we go.
Go ahead, buddy.
Question over vaccines is so oversimplified and dumbed down that we never really get to real truths. And it's why people up here are so separated from real people at home. So we talk about hepatitis B. It's a terrible disease. It could lead to liver failure, as the chairman said. But the reason you have distrust from people at home and why they don't believe anything you say, they don't believe government at all, is you're telling my kid to take a hepatitis B vaccine when he's 1 day old. You get it through drug use and sexually transmitted. That's how you get hepatitis B. But you're telling me my kid has to take it at 1 day old. That's not science. And so every person with a bit of common sense, even people who don't resist vaccines, I vaccinated all my kids. I believe vaccines are one of the modern miracles beyond all pale. The Speckled Monster is a great book about the introduction of the smallpox vaccine in 1720 into our country. All miracles. But I'm not a one-size-fits-all. It's not all or nothing. I chose to wait on my hepatitis B vaccine, and we did it when they went to school. Does that make me an awful person? Does that make me an anti-vaxxer because I questioned the government dictate of whether I do it? And I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm only speaking for myself. But for goodness sakes, let's have an honest debate about these things. The COVID vaccine. If you ask me my opinion, the reporters run up and down the hall and they say, you still anti-vaccine? No, I'm pro-vaccine. But on the COVID vaccine, and on the COVID illness, there was a 1,000-fold or more difference between the elderly and children. If you don't acknowledge that, you're committing malpractice. You're showing your ignorance. If you say a 6-month-old must be mandated to get it, the science is not there. So all this blather about the science says this and the science says that, no, it doesn't. The science actually shows that no healthy child in America died from COVID. Look it up. No healthy child died from COVID. And so the thing is that it's 1,000-fold greater. So if you ask me my advice as a physician, if you were 65 or older or overweight and some other conditions, I would have said, hell yes, I'd take the COVID vaccine. The risks of the disease were real and much greater than the vaccine. But if you ask me, should my healthy 6-month-old get it? See, these are the nuances you're unwilling to talk about because there's such a belief in submission. Submit to the government. Do what you're told. There is no discussion. There ought to be a debate. You're not going to let him have the debate because you're just going to criticize and say, it is this and admit to it or we're not going to appoint you. But it's more complicated than that. And this is why people distrust government, because you're unwilling to have these conversations. And go home, ask your Democrat young mothers, your Republican young mothers, if they're vaccinating their kid for hepatitis B and they're like, well, do I have to do it on day one? It's this precious little baby. Is there science to say you shouldn't do it? Probably not, but it's my kid. It's like, there isn't clear-cut science saying not to. But on autism, there's no good science of anything to show what causes autism. We don't know. It's a profound disease. I know many moms here and dads who have kids with autism. I know them personally. I've met their kids. But the thing is they saw their kids developing completely normal, maybe speaking 100 words go to no words at about 15 months of age. Now, there isn't proof. There isn't proof that the vaccines cause it. That's true. There isn't proof that it causes it. But we don't know what causes it yet, so shouldn't we be at least open-minded? We take 72 vaccines. Could it be? I don't know. But we shouldn't just close the door and say we're no longer, because we believe so much in submission, we're not going to have an open mind to study these things. And so it's sort of this crazy notion. Schizophrenia, I would put in the same notion. You have a kid who's completely normal to 18 or 19, and their brain goes haywire. How does that happen? It's the most bizarre disease. Shouldn't we be open? Could it be our food? It might be vaccines, it might be our food, but autism's more common. I don't know about the schizophrenia statistics, but autism is more common. Shouldn't we want to be open-minded? Instead, we're so close-minded and we're so consensus-driven that the science says this. Well, science doesn't say anything. Science is a dispute, and 10 years from now, we could all be wrong. We were told in the beginning, 20 years ago, they did this enormous study, and they said, everybody over 50 should take an aspirin. I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. It makes sense. But you know what? 20 years later, they measured it. And they found if you had no heart disease and you were taking aspirin, your chance of dying from a brain bleed or from a stomach bleed were greater than the risk of heart disease. If you have heart disease, they still say take an aspirin. If you don't, they've changed their mind 20 years later. But would you have all said I was crazy and I should no longer be in public discourse if I had said 20 years ago, I don't feel like taking an aspirin. I ride my bike all the time. I'm afraid I might hit my head. But that's what country's about. It's what dissent is about. So just ask you to look at the larger picture and give the guy a break who says, I just want to follow the science where it leads without presupposition. I think really what we have up here is presupposition. You've already concluded. It's absolute that autism isn't caused by it. We don't know what causes autism, so we should be more humble in what we say. Sorry I didn't get to a question.
Okay, so it's a place to start the conversation. And I think it's a good template to use when you have to bring people into your world. You can't start with vaccines have hurt people the entire way in our entire life, our lifespan. You can't start with that. You're going to lose people. So you have to start with look at the thing that doesn't make sense and ask yourself, why weren't you concerned about asking that question? Why are you taking the word for what Fauci told us on the TV? Why are you not curious about why no healthy child died of COVID? So why wouldn't they tell us that? So I think it's a good place to start. I don't think he did that for the room. He did it for people watching and sharing it, friends, family, colleagues, all around. So I think that's why that was there. And he's championing RFK Jr. as far as what RFK Jr. represents versus the little maneuvers you have to do when asked point blank questions, and you got to maneuver around it if you want the confirmation. And that's what we're talking about here, Craig. Is it worth the confirmation, or do you stand up for your principles and you say, hell no, I'm not pro-vaccine. I'm skeptical of all of them. And I love these onesies because when mothers and kids wear these onesies, they're saying I'm healthy. I'm okay. I'm proud that I didn't get jabbed by something with mercury and all this other crap in it. So he can't. So that's the choice you have. And so that's where we are. And we shouldn't have expected anything more from RFK Jr. If the idea is that he's trying to get this confirmation, aren't we getting exactly what we got from him, exactly what we expected?
If once again, I mean, and like I said earlier, I think he went even further in the paint than I thought he needed to do to make it a point to to me, it was more of a signal to the people because Rand Paul wasn't talking to the RFK that showed up for the last 2 days. He was talking about the RFK that spoke at Defeat the Mandates. It's a difference between the two. So I mean, like I said, never before in the history is somebody who capitulated have they been playing 3D chess to get in and then all of a sudden turn back around and represent the old person that got them to the point where they're for that new person in the room. So I mean, like I said, if getting the job, in my personal mind, is not doing what you're really setting out to doing, and that's make change. It's more of a capitulation situation. So and now don't get me wrong. I'll even give you that. Okay, maybe RFK is like, well, I have to fold on all the COVID stuff, right? All the vaccine stuff, but I'll at least be able to get processed foods out of the schools for now. But once again, you're working within the system. You're not changing the system. And that's the problem. Once you're out, the next dummy in will put back in what you got in to begin with, right? You know what I'm saying? They'll replace it back. So we have to change the system itself. Until the power structure changes, nothing will change. And that's just the honest to God truth.
Well, let's give a shout out to Dr. Shiva for being right about RFK Jr. the whole time. He was right from the beginning. Yeah, whole time.
The whole
What
time.
are we even doing? We're going through the motions of something's going to happen, but nothing's going to happen. Okay, let's move to the Tulsi stuff, which is pretty fresh. It just happened today. If you want to start with, I guess you have a clip for that.
Well, I have a couple clips over there too as well. One of them was just, Edward Snowden made a tweet, said they spent the whole time trying to get Tulsi Gabbard to attack me, pretty much. Let me pull up.
Actually, I have a tweet from Snowden right here.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Senate Intel.
This is important. That Snowden tweeted this out before the hearing today.
Yeah.
He says Tulsi Gabbard will be required to disown all prior support for whistleblowers as a condition of confirmation today. I encourage her to do so. Tell them I harmed national security and the sweet, soft feelings of staff in D.C. That's what passes for the Pledge of Allegiance. And then he screenshotted the story that literally on record says he exposed an illegal operation, the mass surveillance program, obviously, which we all know. So what is your take on that tweet? Is he being facetious, or is he saying, no, this is what you need to do to get in? It's what he calls, and I like that he's calling it a Pledge of Allegiance. Isn't that been the theme of all of this, all the RFK stuff?
No, absolutely. Listen, I don't agree with Edward Snowden here.
Okay.
Right? I don't agree with him. No, she shouldn't capitulate to that. Absolutely, we should know it's coming. Like I said, sometimes when you win, you actually lose. Sometimes when you lose, you actually win. I've been saying that for a long, long time. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you're supposed to represent the Constitution or the people, the marketing itself, you owe and represent the people. And, if they won't allow him to do the things he needs to do, if they won't allow Tulsi to do the things they need to do, what's the sense of just lying to get in there? Then you're going to capitulate now, you're going to capitulate then. At least that's been what history has proven, right? And so, I don't necessarily agree with Snowden. I think Snowden one time said something about, Julian Assange when they were held captive or whatever. There was like a little back and forth, and Julian Assange said, Snowden wants to come back home. He thinks that Obama's going to throw him a biscuit, so he's saying certain things. Snowden has not always said the right things all the time, and what he exposed was great. And, for her to do the Pledge of Allegiance, once again, I think it did more harm than help, right? And, I had the Angus King video. It's the second video there, and we don't have to play it because I think, Snowden played it off like Tulsi's expected to say that. Maybe she gave her the nod, but Tulsi Gabbard said the words, Snowden committed a crime. Snowden committed a crime. And like I said, she probably said that more times than RFK said, I am pro-vaccine. So, we have to get a count. I don't know exactly, but we should get a count. But, look at the little small clip I have, the Putin clip. I have a list. Tulsi Gabbard has reversed her position on Syria and Assad. Literally saying that, she knows that Assad used chemical weapons against his people. He did not. It's been debunked every single way since Tuesday. She went along with it. She went after Edward Snowden, obviously say he committed a crime. But at the end of the day, she wants to protect our Fourth Amendment rights. You can't do that because you've also reversed on 702, at least, for the Senate committee. She justified the illegal assassination of Soleimani, for crying out loud. She went along with that. She was pretty much said that Putin was, the one responsible. They asked the question. I think the words that RFK used when he said an accomplishment. He used the word accomplishment, a phenomenal accomplishment, right? Using that word accomplishment was the same when they asked Tulsi the question, who's responsible? And she said Putin started the war. It's ignoring everything that she's supposed to stand for. This is why when she said again for the second time or the third time she said it, the greatest threat to the American people is Islamist fundamentalist terrorists, right? That is a lie because she knows very well that these groups are funded by who, Matt? United States.
Yeah, Hillary's admitted it out loud.
Yeah.
So this idea,
everybody knows that we supported the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
Carter did, and so did Reagan. and the Mujahideen eventually became Al-Qaeda and split off into other groups. We support these radicals because we want them to do our bidding as a proxy in these countries. Tulsi knows that. So when she says that, she's also providing cover for who? Same cover that RFK is providing cover for, the Zionist nations. I mean, he was saber rattling at Rescue the Republicans with Iran. So you can't do that because you're compromised, and you're compromised from up high. That means you can never be trusted on anything else. Tulsi has showed that she's compromised. RFK has showed that he is compromised. They are not to be trusted. They should be put in their place. They deserve more criticism than the other assholes asking them the question. And let me tell you something. It is really sad what we saw today, the people asking those questions, the mentality they're coming from, Democrats and Republicans alike. It's a warmongering security state. These people are all good with it. They all praise 702, warrantless spying on your neighbors, on your citizens, warrantless spying, you know? So Tulsi can talk through both sides of her mouth. I mean, to me, her hearing was worse than RFK's. It was such a disappointment today. Such a disappointment. I'm very curious to speak to Jose Vega on this situation. And I told Diane about this. Me and Diane had a show, and I understand where the mentality is coming from, that you see these people against them. So I think somebody out there made a tweet, RFK has the worst people against him, therefore I'm supporting him in his confirmation. That's all by design. That's the kabuki theater. We see this all the time. You know, I mean, the Streisand effect. They understand how it works. You villainize Donald Trump. You throw all these Fugazi lawsuits at him. You fake a fucking assassination, and the next thing you know, he's God, and everybody's praising him. Yeah, people are simple-minded. They're using the same tricks. They've been using it all the time. We learned with Obama.
Well, we're just trying. I guess the name of the game today is who's the worst of the worst in that room, who has moments of truth, and then who goes back to being awful. But everybody in that room is awful to some degree, because we know they're all at some point have all bent over for Israel. They all have done the Zionist thing, whether they believe it in their heart. I think that's the only question we have, is how many of them truly believe it or how many of them are faking it. Either way, I don't know what's worse, right? I don't know what's worse is when you bow down to AIPAC and the Zionist lobbyists and all the Israel first agenda. If you believe it or if you're doing it because you know you have no choice or you will be out. I don't know what's worse, but everyone in that room, we're talking about taking on big pharma and taking on big food. How can we do any of those things if we've already all lied on behest of Israel and everybody in there does that? And we know we've been covering RFK and Tulsi the whole way as people who have done nothing but position themselves to champion Israel. So we know that going in. So what are we even rooting for today? I guess maybe every once in a while you get a little moment of exposure of how the media behaves and how corrupt they are. I liked Tulsi's closing today. She did a good job at calling out the names, the labels she's been given over the years. I'm going to play that one. At least there's something to be said about this is how propaganda works against her. So she articulates this well. I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
Close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country. Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States. Accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet.
Yeah.
There's an old friend of mine who, I hope he's doing well, Frank Analysis. He said at one point, you have to listen to the people who are being censored, right? That's who you want to be listening to, because there's a reason why they're being shut up and they are being censored. And this is true with a lot of people. I mean, the last American vagabond, Ryan Christian, sending out love to him for the sad time in his life right now. I love you, Ryan. Hope that you get through that. If you need us, we're here. but he is considered one of the most censored men on the internet, and he is censored for a reason. And they understand how this works. When people get censored, they look over. Why are they shutting them up? Why can't that person say what they want to say? They must have something good to say. She's playing that role. The only difference is now she has flipped. She is being their puppet. She's being Israel's puppet. Notice that she didn't answer that one. She didn't say Israel. She said Modi. She said Assad. She said Russia. You know what I'm saying? She didn't say Israel's puppet because she is being Israel's puppet. You know? Yeah. And like I said, unfortunately, for the Tulsi Gabbard fans out there, she has represented the opposite side of the coin, right? In other words, she hasn't been so much pro-Israel. She's been anti-Islamist, right? And that has allowed the justification for the Zionist country to do what they want to do, the Zionist state to do what they want to do. That's more nefarious. That's more sinister. It'd be different if she's, you know, if she praised Rabbi Shmuley, who she's got a picture with. If she went out there and said, we need to support Israel, that'd be a lot less harmful, because in her ways, when she says Islamicists are the worst threat to Americans right now and to the planet, that just gives that's the opposite end of the lie. You know, that's like they're Hamas sympathizers, right? That means that we're just being anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, right? More than anything. That's what it means. Yeah. That's what they say to anybody who's critical to the Zionist state. They say you're a Hamas sympathizer. Well, Tulsi Gabbard's telling you that Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, that's the worst threat, and not even mentioning the fact that they are funded by who? Your tax dollars in the West. Yeah. It's very, very, very sinister. And this is coming from somebody, but my most proud vote, my favorite vote ever at one point was Tulsi Gabbard. It really was. I was elated when I got the chance to go and vote for her in the primary in 2020. I was so happy. I got to see the very first vote of hers in New Hampshire in 2020 when we went up to that little small town up there. There's they got the 3 towns that have 21 people, 7 people, 9 people, and they cast the first vote in New Hampshire. I saw her very first vote. I saw it. I took a picture of it. Ever. You know, because it was after the caucus. Caucuses are different. It's not a vote. It's like a caucus. But I saw her very first vote. I was Tulsi crazy. I was called a Tulsel. No way. I have principles, and I'm not going to go along. And you know what? There's a lot of my friends that won't talk to me anymore that still go along with Tulsi because they believe in her regardless of the decisions they've made. I hate to parrot freaking Hillary Clinton, but when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Hey, man, that's great advice. And I commend you for holding on to those principles throughout. And even if we lose relationships along the way, and I know people watching our shows, they have the same experiences in their lives. You guys know what Craig's talking about right now. It hits home with all of us. At some point, we have to put our foot down and say, I'm not going to allow you to make me cross that line with you. I'm not going to do it. You can go on without me. I refuse to do that. I have principles.
Yeah. Can I say something to that? Yeah. Because what you just said right there, me and you right now, we can go and we could say, fuck our principles. We can make the argument that Tulsi Gabbard and RFK are the lesser of two evils. We could be supportive of them. We can ignore the things they do. We can go on the road. We can get access to them. As long as we don't go anywhere, we can build a network. We can build financial stability on these two people alone. And on paper, when you look at it on the surface, these guys look like the lesser of two evils. Like you can say, oh, they have their faults, but at the end of the day, they want to do more good than bad. We could do that right now, me and you. Access provided, the whole 9 yards, but we're choosing not to, right? Because at the end of the day, we understand what our real responsibilities are. And I understand your argument. I understand Cheese Slice's argument. I get it. I understand. You know what I'm saying? There is the argument that you can't get anything done unless you get the job. I just don't agree with that anymore.
Let's connect both of these philosophies into one umbrella philosophy here, because I think we're aligned here. Let me make clear what I hope for when I'm watching this stuff go down and I get excited. I'm trying to figure out what is it that I want, because I'm with you. Nothing's going to happen. You get these people and you get RFK Jr. in there, you get Tulsi in there. Nothing's really going to happen. They're part of the same. They'll switch them out next time. Whatever. Same old, same old. Nobody stood up for principle. So F them all. F Bernie. F them all. They never stood up for principle. Okay. So what am I hoping for that would happen? maybe, just maybe, if enough people are paying attention to the fact that the mainstream and the people that have been smearing these guys as if they're these extreme radicals. Remember, Bernie was a radical and RFK Jr. is they're crazy. And they're all these names. You call them all these names. You call, like Tulsi was just saying in that clip, I'm a puppet of this. I'm a puppet of that. How many people can I be a puppet to? And anti this, anti that, conspiracy theorists, this, all this crap. I'm hoping that maybe enough people will be paying attention that they might have an aha moment at home. The people that never questioned anything. And they might go, what is actually going on? Because if we get enough people to be where we are, then we can actually have critique of the right stuff, the critique of Trump that is the right stuff to be upset at him about, the critique of RFK, the Zionism, right? The right stuff about Tulsi, the right stuff to be critiqued about. But when I go on my social media and I see people here in Hollywood are still putting out the wrong stuff that they're angry about, it makes me so angry because I'm like, could you guys just pay attention and maybe there'll be more of us that can actually put our critical thinking hats on. And maybe we can actually do something about Zionism. We could do something about it if enough people stopped being mad about the wrong shit. That's where I'm at. So I'm thinking if that could be accomplished, that is something. Even if nothing changes politically, even if nothing changes with our laws and our systems, everything is exactly the same. At least there'll be more people having these conversations. That's what I hope for.
I think that, and that's exactly what it is. It's conversations and rhetoric, right? That's what we want more than anything. I mean, I had this discussion with Steve, when Steve was a little bit mad at me for like, come on, but why are you supporting RFK? And I would bring up, well, dude, RFK is the only person who's mentioned SSRIs, which are, very nasty drugs, used, I think they're synthetic type of opioids, synthetic types of, I can't describe them in a way, but the medicinal purposes of mushrooms and whatnot, the microdosing and stuff. Well, these are synthetic ones, and a lot of the mass shooters were on these. And I'd say RFK is the only one mentioning this. Isn't that good, right? Here's something we have to understand, and I think Kelly in the chat is saying, why are so few people paying attention to the fact that Gabbert's in the Army's civil affairs and psychological operations? And that's the thing, because the ruling class is so ahead of us right now. They understand what's going on. They understand the subjects they're working with. And that's why they have this thing called controlled release of information. The information's too much out there. You can't ignore it anymore. You can't deny it. You got to own it, but you got to take it and then move the mechanism, the people that are paying attention, in a different direction. And that's what Tulsi Gabbard does represent. So even though what you're searching for is conversation and rhetoric, and I would say I do appreciate it a lot. When Donald Trump pretends to be a peacemaker, all these useless wars, all I know about Ukraine is that so many people are dying, right? And I want to stop that. But then when he gets in and he does something different, right? He then steers away the conversation. Remember, he's going to end the war in 24 hours. Now we're talking about it's going to be enhanced for a couple months.
He said
more money's going there. It's not stopped. It's, You know what I'm saying? We have to be. I'm not saying this is a simplistic thing, but I do understand where you're coming from, and what I think you ended your statement. We're looking for conversations that weren't being had before. But here's the thing: a lot of those conversations are now being allowed to have because there's been too much leakage. And they can't fix the leak. They just got to reroute the leak to a different area. And we have to understand that. We have to, and that's why at the end of the day, we have to ask the simple question, well, is the risk worth the reward?
Yeah.
And it never is. It never is. At the end of the day, it's not. Bernie Sanders' greatest achievement is the same as Donald Trump. It was the sheep herd you back into the two-party duopoly. And Donald Trump did it even better than Bernie Sanders in a way, because a lot more people left Bernie Sanders, you know what I'm saying, than I think Donald Trump. But they both serve the same purpose. Donald Trump said some stuff. Wow, he was going to end NATO. Holy shit, he's going to do that. Oh, this guy's different. He's getting in trouble for saying the truth. Yeah. Isn't that odd? But where does he end up? Where do you end up back? You end up back in the same place. We have to understand that at the end of the day, when they show us who they are, a Zionist, that's when you got to cut ties and move on. No, at the end of the day, he's gonna lead you astray, and that's what he did today. He led everybody astray, yesterday and today. Just him and Tulsi both. Sorry, and like we could have. Hey, listen, let's take this down and say we were just kidding, and we're now Tulsi and RFK fans, and let's open up a GoFundMe, and let's say we're going to be on the road and we're going to get credentials and stuff. Hey, we got nothing to worry about. Now the money's going to flow in because there's so many hero worshipers out there now. I mean, that's where they look at all these people who just are, they're not journalists, these Benny Johnsons and these Nick Sorters and stuff. They're cheerleaders. But people like cheerleaders and they want to listen to their cheerleaders. They want to listen to the confirmation bias. It's easier to take those positions and back those people than doing what we're doing right here. And that's saying, regardless how that's going to hurt us financially, we're just not going to play that game. It's not our job. Our job is to hold power accountable, and these people are not the answer, Tulsi nor RFK.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. I think we're going to take a 2-minute here, but I want to welcome everyone. If you guys are joining us, Homeless Left today, we got Craig Pasta Jardula. We're hoping to hear from Jose Vega, who is on the ground in Washington, D.C. right now, and see if he can give us a little live update from the ground of the hearings that have been going on all day. And we know the last couple of days, really last 48 hours have been massive happenings that we've been covering today on the show. But for now, we're going to go to a little card and we're going to come back. Now, Jamie, I can throw this one up because I have one preset here. We're going to come back with some top censored news for you guys. Okay. So we'll be right back. Also get your questions, comments up on our Rumble, YouTube. We have our burner channel. If you guys don't know about our burner channel that we're doing because we got terminated. We don't exist right now. So go ahead and do that for us right now. Actually, let me throw that up again for you guys don't know. New burner channel on YouTube. So get on that if you haven't yet. THL Presents. And welcome all you guys to Rumble or Twitter, X, if you guys are on us already. This is our home base, the Rumble channel. So we thank you guys for joining us. And we'll be doing some talking back with you guys as well later. So thanks again. We'll go to a card and we'll be right back with some top censored news. Okay. We are back. Let's go ahead and set up here. We do have opportunity right now. Welcome if you guys are just joining us. Homeless Left. We've been covering the RFK hearings, Tulsi hearings. We are going to be getting into top censored news in a moment here, but it turns out, and as soon as Craig gets back, I'm going to make sure he's ready to go. We're going to be joined in just a moment here by Jose Vega, who is on the ground in Washington, D.C., who was in the hearings himself. So we're going to be able to hear some commentary from Jose in just a moment. So stay tuned here in just a second. I'm going to make sure we got Craig back in and everything's set up. So welcome. Guys, we appreciate all your engagement today on Rumble. We saw some of you guys are on our burner channel now on YouTube. That's awesome. We're going to see how long we go before they terminate us and shut us down again. But we won't stop. We won't stop fighting the censorship industrial complex. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring Craig back in. Okay, hey Craig, how's it going, man? I think we worked everything out here. We're able to get Jose. I guess Jose Vega has just come out of the hearings. We're able to get him on and give us a firsthand account of what happened. Let's go ahead. I think we're ready for Jose. Jose Vega, are you there?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
All right,
yes,
awesome. Okay. I was gonna have my camera on, but it was kind of lagging a bit, so I turned my camera off for bandwidth purposes. But you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Jamie, put down a banner that live with a phone call from Jose Vega so people can see it up on the screen.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So I was in the Tulsi Gabbard hearing. I know Pasta and I do not agree on this. Now, before we get into that, let me just set up the things that you can't see when you're on cam, when you're only watching. You know who was in the room, sitting in the front row, who came to support Tulsi? And this will go to your point, Craig. That's why I'm telling you. I want you to know I'm honest. You know who was in the front room? Meghan McCain.
Meghan McCain, yeah, I know.
Oh, you knew that?
Well, I've known that Meghan McCain is a good friend of Tulsi's.
Well, I was in for quite a surprise, so.
No, I knew that guy.
I was like, I saw her and I thought of you, and I was like, oh gosh, darn it, I should not tell Pasta this. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna use this against me. But and now here's the thing, right? So anyway, I actually was able to bogart my way. I cut the line in the front. This is me admitting my sins. And some Patrick Bateman looking guy behind me was like making fun of me for cutting the line, but I came from New York, so I didn't care. And then I got into like some, not VIP section, but somewhere where I was like right behind Tulsi pretty much, just out of camera view. So that's where I am. I was sitting there. Meghan McCain's like to my left, and it's pretty surreal. One thing I did want to point out that you don't see on the camera is the Senator Todd Young was nervous. He was shaking. He wasn't shaking. He was like unsettled in his seat. He was like a kid who couldn't sit still. He kept moving his face and hands in all weird ways. Now, the reason I bring him up is because he was reported as being one of the holdouts from the one of the possible Republican senators that could hold her back from proceeding beyond the committee. And so, you know, I could tell he was very shifty. He was very nervous. He was the only senator who was just not cool as a cucumber. And that's just something you couldn't really get on the cameras. But other than that, I was contemplating standing up and getting thrown out of there when Senator Bennett started yelling, "Will you call Snowden a traitor?" Blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I mean, there were a lot of people who came in. I mean, the room was packed. I mean, I know the Kennedy hearing was packed too. I was there in line from like 8 in the morning. The hearing was at 10. That was the only way you were going to be able to get in. You had to be there early. And so, you know, I was kind of happy just being there because I wanted to see what would happen. And it's also because I'm trying to prove to people who follow me that no matter what you think about government, you can just walk into the Senate buildings. You can just walk into the Congress and just lobby or just talk to these people. So no matter who you can let me in, all right, this rascal from the Bronx into a hearing, you can get in too. So take that as you wish. But anyway, that's my little introduction. I'm on my way back to New York now. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I want to say that I love the fact that you are pointing that out. I would say if you want to do this job, the number one thing you have to do is just show up, be present, and your brand is showing up and getting in these people's faces and letting them know, what is what, that they are being watched, that they are not going to just have a cakewalk and do whatever they want without any repercussions. So I think it's great that you are pointing up, because I've done that myself. I mean, I remember a Democratic convention where they had a press conference, and me and Fee just showed up. We got our credentials, we got in the room, and you had people like Kamala Harris and Andrew Yang and Pete Buttigieg having to answer questions they normally wouldn't want to answer. So I like the fact that you are just showing up and telling people to just get your ass out there and participate. It's great.
Jose, can I ask you? So you were at both the hearings from yesterday and today. Did you get a sense that there was the crowds that showed up? Was it like from what I'm hearing, what we heard here was that it was unprecedented, the amount of people that showed up yesterday. Were you getting the same sense that they were there to support RFK today in larger numbers, or did it kind of back off? Did you get a sense that the crowd was with him, or were they curious about why he had seemed to back off on some of the issues, the key issues that got people out there? So what's your take as far as the vibe around the hearings?
Well, yeah, I think they bust people in. I mean, up in New York, for example, I know there were some people. I was calling some people to see if they wanted to come with me, and they told me, well, there's already a bus going down for the RFK hearing. There wasn't as many people today for the RFK hearings as there were yesterday. One, because the second hearing today was in a smaller room, so they couldn't all go in. And secondly, some people just went back the same day. They wanted to show support for the first day. But I was surprised at the number of people who stayed overnight and still packed the room for Kennedy. And the people who couldn't go to the Kennedy hearing because the room was packed went either to the Tulsi hearing or the Kash Patel hearing.
Now, there was a vote that happened yesterday at the end that we saw that they had like a timer, they had to all vote. We haven't seen results from that. And I'm trying to figure out, did you get a more sense being there of what the procedure is like right now as far as the votes from yesterday versus the votes today, and when we're going to be able to hear the results to that? Have you got any insight on that?
What I can tell you is that can happen pretty much at any minute. That can happen it really can just happen at any minute. And the reason I'm saying that is because it really is up to how these senators are. If there's anything I get from being here is that ethics, procedure, rules, it's really up to whatever the hell the senators want to do. There is no such thing. It's a facade. I mean, they operate according to procedures and stuff, but really they will do whatever the hell they want, whenever they want. The only difference is that Kash Patel, we know he won't be confirmed this week. He has to go through one more hearing next week. That's just the procedure for FBI director. I don't remember. I think it's like the Judicial Committee or something has to review Kash Patel next week. So his vote won't be for next week. But like Pam Bondi, for example, her hearing was last week, and I think she was finally confirmed yesterday. Oh, and that was another person who was at the Gabbard hearing. It was Pam Bondi. She was also there too. Is that me?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So she was also at the hearing, to show her support. And what I thought was incredible was this guy Wicker. Actually, at the end, he's a senator. He's not even voting on the committee. He's a senator, and this Wicker guy is like a crazy ass. Let's assassinate Putin. Let's just burn it all down. This guy would actually call for a preemptive strike on Russia if he could. He's that crazy. And yet he comes in here and he speaks at the end and he's trying to basically give softballs to Tulsi, right? So there's clearly something else going on, because when they ended the public hearing, they started the closed hearing. Now, I don't know what the hell they're talking about in the closed hearing. It's supposed to be classified. They're talking about classified stuff. They hinted that, yeah, that's right. Because they said in the, as they were about to go into the closed hearing, they were talking about Iran and how one of the questions that came up for Tulsi was how would she deal with Iran or something like that, Iran discrediting our intelligence agencies, and she said, well, I have to be DNI first to really assess. And he said, well, okay, we'll go more into it in the closed hearing. But he called it classified. He said classified hearing, not closed hearing. So,
which is one of the arguments that I want to make right now. That obviously we just had this whole thing, and Jose, I'm not going to relive it and go through my whole points again. I think when you get back to New York and you get settled, and we have another show maybe next week, or maybe we'll figure out a time when we can talk about this some more and get a little bit more opinions and kind of debate this out. But we just spent a good hour and change talking about it on the show. But one of the things that I want to point out that wasn't pointed out is the fact that I think Tulsi also manufactured consent for the argument that there should be closed door information where the public isn't privy to see. Whereas if that was a different position of hers, when it comes to our civil liberties, we have to hold the government accountable. So we need to know exactly what's going on. She seemed to provide cover for that theory that, hey, man, there's some really bad people out there. So warrantless wiretapping, right, spying on our citizens is sometimes necessary, and I think that was also part of the whole part about demonizing, Edward Snowden. You're really sending a message that, hey, man, what he exposed, and she did say this at one point. But once again, this is what I mean about talking about both sides of your mouth. You can't be for your Fourth Amendment rights and for 702. You can't. They completely contradict each other. You can't have one. They're not one and the same. They're the complete opposite. So I felt in some ways she manufactured consent for that mindset that there are dangerous people out there, and therefore their spying power, understanding what's going on, is sometimes necessary for the government to do that. The only problem is when you give them an inch, they take a foot. So I that was one thing. Did you get that sense there too as well, Jose, that she manufactured a little bit too much of that sentiment?
Well, here's the thing. I made a video 2 days ago. I know you saw it, where I said Tulsi Gabbard should be DNI.
Yeah.
Now I want to be clear about something. I made that video knowing full well, or at least thinking full well, that when I go to the hearing, she is going to walk back everything she said. I thought she was going to bend the knee to the senators. I thought she was going to say, yes, Putin's a madman. Edward Snowden should rot in jail. I thought that any redeeming quality of her was just going to go out the window, and she was going to say whatever she needed to say to get confirmed. But she didn't. I did not get that sense, because she could have said all those things and then become DNI. What I saw was somebody trying to hold on to some integrity when she was asked, will you denounce Snowden as a traitor? And she just said, well, he broke the law, but I think some documents that he revealed showed that, there was some unconstitutional activities going on. That is a total lawyer, politician BS answer. That is not what I expected. I expected, we should throw him in jail. But no, she wouldn't do that. And the fact that the Senator Bennett reacted the way he did showed that she actually was trying to keep some integrity. The second thing was Senator Wyden, who was a Democrat. I thought all the Democrats were going to be nasty. He says, wait a minute. There's a loophole in FISA's 702, which allows for the untapped monitoring of routers or something. I forgot the specifics. Would you be willing to look into that and address this concern? Because the thing that people don't know about Wyden is that Wyden does come from the old school Frank Church generation, which this week is the anniversary of those hearings. And she said, another typical politician lawyer answer, well, I'd have to be DNI first to look into that, but I'd be happy to work with your office. And so, honestly, my expectations were pretty dog poop. And I was like, man, I'm going to hear it. But no, I was like, hey, there was some attempt at trying to keep her integrity, not bending the knee. And Edward Snowden tweeted out what he tweeted out earlier, where he said, well, she's going to have to walk back her support for whistleblowers. I encourage her to do so. I thought she was going to do that. She didn't. But yeah.
I will see. That's the thing. I think that this is where we have a big difference, Jose, me and you, is because I think that those lawyer kind of trying to toe the line, that's more nefarious and more sinister than if she would have just came out and completely capitulated. And I've said this before in the past. Sometimes when you lose, you don't get the nomination. You actually win because you're representing, once again, what is supposed to be the Constitution, the people itself, the people who put you there, you know, and she backtracked on Assad in Syria. She backtracked on Soleimani. She backtracked on Putin. She backtracked on Snowden. I mean, it was one thing after the other for me, and it was just like, wow, I'm sorry, this is awful. And because she was put in such a you know, unique position, and I've said this before, the Streisand effect, you know, happens. She got attacked by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Do you know how many populist right people, just for that alone, want to listen to her or want to support her? Because, oh, if Hillary Clinton's attacking her, she must have something good. The ruling class understands what they're dealing with. And like I said today, and I haven't watched the whole thing today, I'm about 40% through. But from what I saw today, man, I was just, it was nauseating in my mind. Nauseating. More than ever right now, we need people to speak up about the truth of what's going on, about who Assad was. That's why there was a lot of people in my group, right, or people that aligned with me back in the past that would say Assad is a brutal dictator, but the United States has no room. No, that's not true. You're just mumbling and repeating the argument that's going to be able to be twisted and then manufacture consent to always do what you want to do, and that's go to war. By her saying those things, by her saying, yes, I believe that Assad gassed his people, which is completely bullshit. It's false. At a time we needed her most to speak up for what was going on in Syria, which was also one of the linchpins to get her started in the begin with, right? Going there with Dennis Kucinich, for her to say those things and then try to play it both ways. I believe talking to the adversaries and friends, that to me is just, that's where you become persona non grata, because you're too crafty. You're too crafty of a politician.
You know, that's right. I heard that. I was glad that she mentioned her trip with Dennis Kucinich. I was glad that that came up. You know, I think the last question she got about Syria, where she was asked, well, you said that America was supporting terrorists on the Syrian side. I thought she was going to bend the knee on that too, but she said, no, it is public knowledge that Operation Timber Sycamore was a real thing, and we supported Al-Qaeda. I mean, she put that on the record, and she said, you know, and I believe the American public should know that this happened. Look, you know, when it comes to like Tulsi and the establishment and like going after, you know, who is a snake and it's not, it's like, I've done a lot of thinking about this, you know, because I like to listen to people who criticize me. You know, I'm only 26. Maybe I could be wrong. But it's like, where's AOC saying that? Talking about Timber Sycamore. Where's she talking about Edward Snowden?
The bar set very low. The bar set very low. And I have to interject right there, too, as well, because, first of all, I don't disagree with you a lot. I just disagree with you right here. And I disagree with Diane on this. I went on Diane's show to push back against that. But when she says Assad did gas his people, and she know that's a lie, who is she then now serving in that case in your mind, Jose?
She was probably counseled heavily by the Trump team and said, look, whatever you say, you better, if they say Assad gassed his own people, Assad gassed his own people. I'm not saying that's right.
But who is she serving? Who's she serving with that? Who's at the end? Who is that benefit more than anybody? What country?
United States, NATO, the whole, you know, apparatus, by her admitting that. Yeah.
Nope. Think about it. Israel.
Israel.
That serves Israel more than anybody. The Golan Heights, they've wanted that for quite some time. And this is the point I'm trying to make about RFK. And I think that, you know, it's funny because when RFK made the statement on October 7th, and I was hoping he didn't touch his phone that day, that was it. That was the last plane out of Saigon. There was no more supporting or making excuses for him. It was over right there. And I think a lot of people right then and there, a lot of people I know, at least people I still talk to and I agree with a lot with on, that was it. You know what I'm saying? Dan Kovalik and all these other people who are old school lefties, we understood right there that, no, you can no longer make excuses. This person's serving that master right there and there. When you serve Israel, you're compromised, right? It's not that you're just wrong. You are compromised, and you are compromised from on high. Tulsi Gabbard, right there in that statement, for her saying that today, she proved 100% that she's serving the state of Israel, just like she says, because she provides cover for the opposite end of the coin of the Zionist nation. She says the greatest threat is Islamist fundamentalist, right? That manufactures consent. That gives the thumbs up for the Zionists to go bomb these people, right? And to do these things. So her moves might not be like the others, where you go, oh my God. To me, they're way more nefarious and they're more dangerous.
I mean, you know, look, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It's like, and this is just a general. I was thinking about this a lot, also, and like just in personal, right? Let's like, if this was, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, other than like the position that she's in right now, where she's being told, and this is probably how a lot of people think, and this is the path to corruption. This is obviously not what I endorse. That's why I ran as an independent. But she is being told, look, do you really want to stand on principle or do you want power? Because if you have power, you could probably stand up for your principles that way. You could do whatever you want. You'll have the backing of Trump. That's what's probably going through her mind. And that's the path to hell. I don't live that way. I never advocate for that way. And I'm not even defending her for doing that. I'm just simply saying that is what is going on in her head, where she's like, well, okay, well, I'll kowtow here, I'll kowtow there, you know, just to try and get some power. That's what's going on, in my opinion. So, you know, and look, I go ahead. I'm
going to back up you, Jose, on this, because Craig and I have been having this discussion pretty much the whole show today about principles versus power, right? But we have a job to do as independent media people. We have a job, you know, to relay as best as we can the truth and based on principles and how we, you know, do, you know, maneuver through all the day-to-day happenings. And we do that. And our viewers, our audience trusts that we're going to do that well. I think the idea is that, yes, the Tulsi and RFK Jr., they're going for power right now. So we have to understand they're not doing the same job we're doing. We can't expect them to have the same, you know, when they wake up in the morning, to have the same attack plan that we have in our lane. If we wanted to do what they were doing, we could try it. We'd be kicked right out, like Dr. Shiva style. We'd be kicked the hell out immediately before we even had a chance to speak. We'd never even be on a stage at all to have these moments, right? So that's so I do agree with you that if she can maneuver through there, she might be able to accomplish something, even if no policy. And I think Craig and I talked about this earlier. Even if no policy gets changed or nothing gets done at all, at least we're having the conversations, they're having the conversations, and maybe attracting new people that weren't paying attention this whole time. And maybe that could be something that could be gained. And I'll give her and RFK Jr. credit in that regard. Here, let me take that shared screen off. That's commercial.
I would say though, Jose, peep this. I'm sorry, Matt, were you done?
No, that's I just want to say, like, I'm validating that what Jose's saying coming from that point of view, but you're also right, Craig. Like, you're both right at the same time.
No, look, this is the first time I've ever disagreed with Jose and Diane Sayre. You know what I'm saying? As LaRoucheites, I don't think they're allowed to support Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to look it up in the rules and try to show up to one of their meetings. I'm going to do to Jose what Jose does to AOC, right? What a joke over here. Jose Vega's now going to kowtow to the deep state. No, okay. So here's the thing. I've said this before. Sometimes when you win, get this nomination, you actually lose. Sometimes when you lose, you actually win. Would you agree or disagree with me had RFK showed up and been the RFK that built a coalition and a movement around the real Anthony Fauci for not saying I'm pro-vaccine, for, you know, standing on his principles, same thing, well, what his alleged principles were, I should say, because his principles are going to fly with the wind now to give him power, because getting power is different than representing the people who put you there, right? If Tulsi had done the same, no, Assad did not gas his people. Assad should have not been removed. It was a coup, and it was a coup, you know, thrown by, you know, by the United States and Israel. They're the ones, and they worked with their proxies in Turkey. That was not right. You know, Assad did not gas his people. Edward Snowden technically might have committed a crime, but what he did was good for the greater of the people. Like, to have a hardline stance on that. To say, no, Putin didn't start this war in 2021, or was it 2022, or whatever it was? He didn't start this war. This war started in 2014 when the Victoria Nuland, we know because we have the released Victoria Nuland tape about the EU and picking the new leader, and we have this, you know, these people arming the Kiev regime. it was illegal to kill Soleimani. We shouldn't be doing stuff like that, and we shouldn't be going to war with Iran. Had Tulsi Gabbard stuck to these positions, I will not stand behind 702. We need to get rid of 702. It's a egregious crime against our Fourth Amendment. Had she done that, she'd do more for the movement itself as far as fighting for transparency, fighting against censorship, fighting against spying, fighting against all these things by losing and not getting that job in that hearing, which she have not actually made a bigger impact on what's right versus what's wrong than what she did today.
Yes, I completely agree with you. But
That's
the
what
thing
I'm
is,
saying.
I don't expect that. But I don't expect that from her because, like I said, they're going after the power versus principle. She could have done all that.
Yeah.
All right. And it probably would have been like news. She would have been denounced, but the truth would have been out there, and she would have had to give up the nomination. She's thinking, put me in there so I actually have the power to have sweeping authority over these agencies. And again, I don't agree with that thinking. You know what? Because that's the same thinking AOC has. AOC thinks to herself, well, I could be an activist again, but what the hell does that mean if I'm yelling and screaming about stuff when I'm a congressman and I have more authority now as a congressman than I ever did as a simple activist? That's what she's thinking. And she's like, and I just got to kowtow.
Tulsi stood alone, though, Jose, how she stood by herself in that Congress, by herself, very little people. And when she would put up a certain bill, she'd get a couple people from that side of the aisle, or a couple people from both sides of the aisle. A couple people. I mean, she stood up alone so often that all we're saying is just hold yourself to your own marketing. That's it. That's it. That was a completely different person we saw in RFK and a completely different person we saw in Tulsi Gabbard. And that is, and in my mind, that is not to be celebrated. That is to be held to account like we hold everybody to account. Because we have to put aside the hero worshiping mentality. That's why we have these people in office right now, is because they're hero worshiping mentality. And they have an army of cheerleaders out there for these people. Like I said, right now, Jose, if me and Matt wanted to, and I told Matt, let's just cut the video, come back. Hey, we were just kidding. And let's be RFK and Tulsi toadies, right? Or whatever's the word that Barry Weiss used. Let's go get access to them. Let's go hero worship them. Let's go cheerlead for them the way Nick Sorter and Benny Johnson cheerlead for the president, and so many people who cheerlead for the president. Let's go cheerlead for them, right? Because when you look on paper, they look like the lesser of two evils, right? That group, RFK and Tulsi, you could surely sell what they represented before these hearings to what they said these last couple of days. We can make a living off that. We can get a GoFundMe. We can get the finances coming in. We don't have to worry as much. We can make a living doing this now just by jumping on that team. But we're not going to do that because it's not the right thing to do. And I told Matt beforehand, I am so thankful that I am a journalist, political commentator, because my job is to hold power accountable, right? So people who have seen me for the last couple of years going after the AOCs and going after the Bidens, now they see me going after Trump and his little crew. They're like, well, why did you do that? Why did you switch? Because they're in power. And that's our job, to hold those in power accountable, including if RFK and Tulsi get these nominations.
I mean, yeah, hey, I have nothing to add to what you said. And absolutely, look, when Trump first announced the night before he got sworn in at his victory rally that he was going to release the MLK, Bobby Kennedy, and JFK files and other things of public interest, as he said verbatim, the first thing I said to my mind was, well, I'm going to make sure he does. That doesn't mean I have some secret access to the president. That just meant I'm going to hold him accountable because he said that. And that to me is a big thing, by the way. I really do think that something must change if those files come out. I don't know what's in them. Could be virtually nothing. But the fact that they do come out, I think represented a victory in itself if he was actually going to do it. And then when he did it, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Great. But that doesn't mean I put on a MAGA hat and go around saying Trump's the best. Nah, that just means, okay, well, we got to keep holding this guy accountable. For example, I certainly would never, I mean, this thing with deporting millions of migrants, putting them in places like Guantanamo Bay, that kind of stuff freaks me out. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm not really a fan of that.
Dude,
and I'm bringing this up because
he's talked about deporting American citizens too, like sending them away. I mean, this is some freaking xenophobic, scary talk. By the way, what country are you going to be deported back to so we can go visit when you get sent back?
Well, first of all, which American citizens? Because there are some people that could be deported. Secondly, I'm just kidding. Secondly, I'm from El Salvador. My parents are from El Salvador.
That's
so
right.
yeah.
At least it's cool though. I'll send you some Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe we could deport Hillary Clinton back to hell. That might be okay with me.
That's a good one.
Well, what about his wife? Right? Isn't Melania from somewhere else? I mean, but that's this is just and once again, you have to look at the end of the day. Like Donald Trump if Joe Biden was standing on that stage with Larry Ellison from Oracle talking about AI manufactured vaccines that are going to produce mRNA catered to your friggin' DNA. I mean, the right would have flipped their lids. But since it's Donald Trump, it's okay. We got to be prepared and ready for that because that's what's coming right now. And I think when me personally, and I get and I understand why we want to take a peek, but from somebody like I said, I saw her very first vote ever in 2020 in New Hampshire. Somebody marked that. I took a picture of somebody marking that Tulsi Gabbard, right? Like I saw it, like when it was being counted. That was the first vote. There was a caucus a couple days before in Iowa, but the first vote she got in New Hampshire, I saw it. I took a picture. I was there to witness it. It was awesome. I love the woman. You know what I'm saying? Tulsi, I sang happy birthday to her. She still follows me for crying out loud on Twitter, right? She hasn't even disowned me yet, like she's gotten rid of some people. But I wouldn't be doing my job. I wouldn't be who I am. And quite frankly, me personally, I've had too many people in my ears saying I told you so when they showed us who they were before in the past. So we have to understand what they're doing. Donald Trump's greatest accomplishment for him and for the ruling class is he's done exactly what Bernie Sanders did. He's there to exist to keep people in the two-party duopoly. That's why he exists. And if he's bringing on Tulsi Gabbard for that position, she's playing ball. Nobody's going to be put in that position unless they know they're going to get something from. Same with RFK.
That's probably true. That's probably what the closed hearing was about. Some kind of deals being struck. Like, listen, if we make you DNI, because the truth is these senators, especially the Republican senators, are afraid of Trump, right? So, if you're not going to go on, I mean, this is just what I hear around the Hill. That's the other benefit about going to Washington, by the way. You hear a lot of stuff from aides and staff just walking around,
oh, yeah.
But a lot of these Republican senators are afraid of contradicting Trump because Trump is such a cult-like, personality. Starts campaigning against you, you're going to lose hearings or against these nominees on the Republican side is painting a big target on their forehead, for primarying, right? You'll be known as the guy who got in the way of Trump's agenda, right? So, what was going on, what I think personally in that closed classified hearing was not stuff on Iran. I think what was going on was, look, we know there's people that we represent that don't really want to go to jail or be held accountable. If we make you DNI, will you promise not to prosecute them? That's the kind of deal that they're making, that they probably made, or, we'll see what happens, because you are right. To get into that kind of position of power, you do have to make some kind of compromising deal, whether you're RFK or Tulsi or even Kash Patel, Patel. So, I'm not ignorant or stupid of this, I don't know. There is no pretty way of getting around nuance, right? There's no easy way. I wish there was, but there's not, and it's like, well, this is what it is. So
this is what it is. Jose, you're talking about this closed door meeting. It's the first we heard about it was from you. So thanks for sharing that part. This seems like a very important part of the discussion, which no one else is having. I haven't seen it on Twitter, but the fact that are you also saying that this happened? The closed door also happened with RFK. So it's both RFK and Tulsi, both in these closed door meetings.
I can't say for RFK. I just know there was one for Tulsi because at the end, Tom Cotton announced We will reconvene at 1:10. That will be a classified hearing. Nobody in the public's allowed.
Got it. So this is where I think you hit it on the head. This is where those negotiations occur. If we're going to put you through, this is what we need you to agree to, and no one else gets to see that. And so, like the mainstream, they don't care. They're like, that's fine with us, right? But so in that case, I guess I would assume that if this continues, if this wraps itself up, they might be announcing this soon. So are you leaning on the fact that did they do everything right? Did they check every box to get that power? RFK and Tulsi, what would you be your final prediction on that? Did they do everything they needed to do to get into the club, basically? Oh, he's on mute again.
Oh, sorry, I lost my connection. I didn't hear what you said for the last 20 seconds. I'm sorry.
I was asking
if to get the nomination.
Did RFK and or Tulsi check every box they needed to check to get into this club? The power.
Yeah. Look, I hate to break it. If you have any politician you think is good, I want to just break the news to you that whether it's a senator or a congressman, or in the case of New York, at least a state legislator, they got some kind of dirt on you and you had to make a deal to be in the position you're in. That's just the case. Now, look, I seem to be getting to a place where my service is kind of breaking up. Okay. So I'm going to have to get off here before I lose you guys again.
Go
this
home
was fun.
Take care of your cat.
Yeah.
I will.
Hey, Jose, thanks for bringing it to the Homeless Left, bringing it to Pasta and us here at the Homeless Left and giving us your firsthand take from the ground, because we're not getting this conversation anywhere else. And that's what it's about. It's on the ground. Go to the story. Bring us what you can. And appreciate all the insight.
Of course. Yeah. You guys will get the exclusive when I run as a Democrat and I renounce all my former positions and I give in to anything the establishment wants just to take down Richie Torres. So,
great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, access journalism. We're ready. We're ready for you. We won't ask. We'll do softball questions.
Oh God. I hope that clip doesn't come back to bite me in the butt 5 years later.
We'll know it's a joke.
It's called sarcasm. Oh my God.
All righty. Well,
we love you, brother.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
All right. All right. That was very cool. We got to have that discussion. I think we can find commonality here, Craig, through all of the debates today, the friendly discourse we've had. We're all kind of almost saying the same thing. I believe, as far as we understand the power structure, we understand the capture, the corruption, the propaganda machine, the question we all have to ask ourselves: principle versus power, and how we stand in that, and how not just us as independent media people, not just politicians and people like RFK and Tulsi, but also our friends and family and colleagues and people that we have relationships with in the private sector. Everybody has this moral dilemma. Some don't think twice about it. They just sell out to whatever they have to sell out to, right? They check the box, they vote blue no matter who, or they MAGA it up. Whatever they do, they're okay with it. But a lot of us, we have a little bit more of a moral discussion going on inside our own heads, and that's why we end up voting third party, or in some cases staying home. Like Wyatt Reed says, I'm not participating. So there's a lot of ways we can go about that. But I do think at the end of the day, we are saying pretty much the same thing. We understand that the system is rigged, and it's rigged against all of us. So what are you going to do about it?
Nothing you can do about it, right? Like I said, you can stand on principle, and I think that's going to be the most effective. So that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're pushing for, right? It just sucks that when a lot of effort and time were put behind these people having so much confidence. I think Fiorella made the best tweet yesterday. I marked the blue flag, marked safe. And I'll read it off so I don't fucking make a fool out of myself, what you said yesterday. But you know that little marking yourself safe with the blue flag?
Yeah, the marking your safe. Yes.
Yeah. You said, I marked myself safe from thinking multi-billionaire puppets who serve the system are here to save us from their friends. You know?
Good. Safe from that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I pushed the election integrity situation, but you know, I'm almost in agreement that this is any type of solution is going to come outside that system.
Yeah,
so
100%.
So,
okay. look, man, I really want to do top censored news because we have to cover this stuff real quick. So you want to do that with me? We'll do that.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm saying I'm here, buddy.
Okay,
I'm here. Let's do it.
I think we got mostly it all set up here. Actually, hold on. Let me grab one more thing here. I think we're close to. We can start this in like a minute here. We're gonna walk through these you guys know, if you guys been watching our show, the top censored news. It's about basically looking at the angles of the stories or the ones you might not even have heard about, because the mainstream doesn't report on them accurately. They lie about it, or in some cases they leave the stories out altogether and you don't even know it happened. So our job is, once a week here on Homeless Left, we try to bring you the top 3 stories that the mainstream media refuses to cover. So without further ado, let's get to top censored news of the week. Here we go.
Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week.
It's time for Top Censored News of the Week, bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover, but if they do cover them, they always do it in a sloppy or dishonest way, and it's always on purpose. I'm here with my co-host, Craig Pasa Jardula. Today, we're going to go through the top 3 stories. Coming in at number 3, Interpol arrests Yoel Adler, an Israeli member of Lev Tahor, the world's largest child sex trafficking ring. Let's get a shot of what went down. This was 2 days ago, I believe. This is the arrest occurring. That's him. That's Yoel Adler. So what do we know about this guy? Well, let's start with this. We have, here we go. This we know. So he was arrested. This is January 26th. Let me take this off so you can see it. There he is, being arrested for human trafficking. He'll be extradited into Mexico. Well, he was arrested in Guatemala. So this was a police operation. They found him. They took him out. They arrested him. They're taking him to Mexico. But what else about this story that's so interesting is, here's the actual story. The informant reports this. In Guatemala, police arrested 35-year-old Israeli national Yoel Alter near a children's shelter. Alter, a member of the ultra-Orthodox Lev Tahor sect, is subject to an extradition order to Mexico on charges of suspected human trafficking. This arrest is part of a broader crackdown on Lev Tahor's activities following a December raid where authorities liberated 160 children from one of the sect's farms, now under state protection. And so if we go to this is, believe it or not, yes, this is the same guy being arrested back in 2022. Look at that. So they already had him back in 22, and somehow he gets back to Guatemala. And then this raid that he mentions, the informant mentions in the tweet, actually did take place. And the Times of Israel reports on this. Obviously, they leave out the part about the guy, the particular guy, because he hadn't been arrested yet. And this is the shot. It's a snapshot. There's actually a video of this too, of the women and children being saved at that point. So this is the type of stuff that our mainstream will never report on. They're just not going to even report it. So unless you guys aren't watching it here or you're seeing it on your Twitter feed or something, you're not going to even know that this happened. How does this affect us? Well, it does, because we're trying to figure out why our media doesn't want to cover child sex trafficking, why we don't talk about this issue at all. Why is it that an Orthodox Jew gathering of human traffickers that we have a paper trail on, that the police have a paper trail on, that we actually can do an arrest, save like 160 children and women? Why doesn't our media care about that? Just thought you guys should know this happened literally 2 days ago.
Because they're owned by the Zionists. It's what we're talking about at the end of the day with RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. At the end of the road, they're cucks for a Zionist. for the Zionist nation. There's nothing you can do about that. And that means they're completely compromised. They cannot be trusted. You cannot hope for them in any way, shape, or form. Once again, the Zionist nation gets away with so much, right? And it's hard to ignore their influence at this point. And it doesn't surprise me that this guy has been listen, it won't surprise me when this guy is walking free tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Won't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming in at number 2, Newsom picks Casey Wasserman, who is the 2028 Olympics chair, to lead LA Fire Recovery Initiative, sparking outrage over possible, and we say that loosely, possible land grab in the works. Let's see what we're talking. This is so bizarre. Why would he put this person in charge? Well, let's see what happened here. Okay, here it is. We'll take this off here. LA Times, Newsom taps, and here's the three ones. Okay, you got Magic Johnson, who shows up whenever he's called, right? I think he just got like a Medal of Freedom over with Hillary Clinton a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Casey Wasserman, there's your guy. LA Times won't tell you about him, but they're telling this is one of the 3 people. And Mark Walter, the 3 of these people together are lead philanthropists, right? So philanthropic LA Fire Recovery Initiative. Wow, that's so interesting. Well, let's see what Twitter has to say about that. Whitney Webb, okay, grandson of the mob-upped Lou Wasserman. So he's the grandson of this guy. If you think organized crime disappeared and didn't just rebrand as philanthropy and merge with private capital, I have some books I can recommend, which is pretty funny. And then we have a follow-up here, John Peltz. I don't know. If I were the right, I would probably pick up on the story of Newsom appointing an Epstein pal. Surprised they haven't jumped on it. And then this is a shot of this guy. This is Casey Wasserman. Craig, who is he standing there with? That's so bizarre.
Elaine, Lady Elaine, which was the name of what's his name? Robert. What's Robert's last name?
Robert Epstein.
No, it wasn't Robert Epstein. It was
sorry. You're okay.
Elaine, Robert Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell.
Yeah.
That's Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein and Elaine Maxwell. Yeah,
Ghislaine Maxwell, who went to jail for trafficking children to no one.
Those. Wow. Yeah, that's right. Because there was no clients, right?
There was no clients. No clients.
That's correct. Wow. So so there you go. What else can we find out about this guy? And again, LA Times is like they're not going to report on this, but they're announcing Casey Wasserman, a philanthropist. He happens to be the head of the LA Olympics team, also going to head the fire initiative. How does that make sense? How are those two things connected? Because Craig, I was told we were conspiracy theorists for even mentioning the Olympics when it came to cleaning up the LA fires. That's so interesting because we would put this out immediately because our city burnt down, man. We put out Smart LA 2020. Now, look, you guys don't see this at the bottom. I'm going to take the banner off. This came out in December 2020. This is the plan for LA. We've known it for many years. This is called Smart LA. So don't just take our word for it. You guys, you know what you need to do if you really want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Yep. Let's hear Gavin Newsom talk about the advice he's getting from Josh Green, the governor of Hawaii. Listen to this.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
He's so excited, Craig. He's so excited. Guess who else is excited? Our local news teams right here in LA. This is the enthusiasm. He might as well be doing the shoulder thing that Newsom was doing. This is being aired right here to our people, our neighbors, our friends, our family who have lost their homes. This is how excited the local news here in LA is to know that the zoning laws have been changed. And this should help everyone because Newsom's getting this done. Listen to this.
interesting element of my conversation with Mr. Giacoletti was when he talked about the possibility of, as we start rebuilding, starting to relax some of the zoning laws, especially in a more working class neighborhood like Altadena, so that rather than putting up single family residences, especially on parcels where people might not have the wherewithal to rebuild at all, we allow developers to start putting up duplexes and apartments. In other words, increasing density, but also increasing more housing.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
So
Let's move them to
exciting.
Altadena, where the people who had their houses and they were so reliant on that. They're going to get bought out for nickels on the dollar. And we want to put up, we want BlackRock to own and Blackstone to own more apartment buildings in there so they can collect rent and we have less ownership, especially for the more marginalized people in LA, where Altadena, where Black families escaped to because they weren't allowed to because of red what do you call it? Red tape, not red lines, or just the districting laws. They wouldn't allow them to live in Pasadena, so they went up the street to Altadena to buy houses and stuff there. And now you want to pretty much decimate, lower their property value and everything, and put up apartment buildings in there so people can pay rent. You know what I'm saying? And not own. Just terrible.
Yeah,
red zoning laws. Red zoning.
Like, how can you be so excited about the idea that you're preventing people who, what if people did have the means to rebuild and they wanted to build their single, you won't even have a chance to do it, even if you wanted to. How exciting. So these commercial people come in, these big real estate mongols come in, just the way Josh Green explained to Newsom, this is how you do it. We're doing it in Lahaina. You and I know, Craig, we saw it in Lahaina ourselves. Yeah. This is how they do it. This is the game plan. It's called a land grab. And we're not conspiracy theorists to point this out. We are furious at this point. We started by asking questions because that's what you do when a horrible thing happens. We had 8 fires pop up all around us in 48 hours. It happened. Climate change, this, arson, that, whatever you want to say. It happened, and we're looking at what happens next. And we could precede this happening. We anticipated this was the plan. We know that smart. You can call you want. This is smart LA 2028. Yeah. There's a lot of names for it. We call it whatever you want to call it. It's you're due to carbon footprint, you call them 15-minute cities, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. This is what's happening. And now with this Wasserman guy involved and announced by the LA Times, he's part of the team. He's going to help rebuild LA. The LA Fires Initiative. He's one of the 3. He and Magic Johnson and the other guy, they're going to put their philanthropy heads together and figure out how to screw us all and give it all to the upward transfer of wealth to the rich, elite, globalists, and the rest of us will own nothing and be happy. And
you'll have nothing and like it.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's get to number 1. Coming in, top censored news, the number 1 story this week. Military Blackhawk helicopter strikes down American Airlines commercial flight near D.C. Does not appear to be accidental. And why did I include that in the tag?
Yeah, I know,
not
right?
appear. We don't know. We don't know. We don't have all the information yet. But I will start with this. Let me start with this. This is the actual footage of the crash. Let's see it. Okay, so that was the little dot going in there. I'm going to bring the volume down here.
How many people were on that commercial airliner?
So we had 60 people on the airliner, 60 or 64, 60 something. We don't have the exact number. There were apparently 3 people on the Blackhawk helicopter. So the total death toll, everybody has been wiped out, unfortunately. Let me grab the I actually do have the story here, so we can take a look. This has been going on straight through the night, as far as gathering information. Here's what we do know.
Sad.
Oh, here we go. I got it right here. Okay. So yeah, everyone on board the American Airlines jet that collided with an Army helicopter is feared dead. All 64 people on board the American Airlines jet that collided with an Army helicopter were feared dead in what was likely to be the worst U.S. aviation disaster in almost a quarter century, officials said Thursday. They pulled 28 bodies from the icy waters in the Potomac River after the helicopter apparently flew into the path of the jet late Wednesday as it was landing. Okay, so the plane carried 60 passengers and 4 crew. So yeah, 64 on the plane. Here's what's interesting, Craig, because the wording of this, it says it's a collision and that the helicopter apparently flew into the path. But you guys saw the that video, right? I mean, like, can we just look at that one more time? It's the little dot going. It looks like it's going right into it, not the path of it. It looks like it's going right into the action. It's like striking into it. That's what it seems like in that shot. There's more to the story. There's more to the story. Okay. And I put this at number 1 for a reason because I want to look at
find out who's on that plane. That's of importance.
Well, yeah, let's go to that. So we don't know all of the passengers just yet, but the ones that were reported that were of note, and I hate to say of note, like we have the same problem when you have celebrities that are dying and they go, well, why aren't you talking about all the people? We can't list all 64 people. What we can do for now, and I hope we get that list. I hope there's not somebody they're hiding from us. But here's what we do know, and this part is pretty sad. We found this out this morning that several U.S. figure skaters were on board the plane that crashed at Reagan International. They were returning from the U.S. figure skating championship that was held this past weekend in Kansas. So that is terrible, terrible news that these skaters are all they had just competed figure skating championship. They were heading home and this happened to them and none of them survived. This is absolutely awful news.
Terrible.
But let's get into this, the language here. So we say the media jet ran into a helicopter. It looks like the Blackhawk came up from behind and crashed into the jet. Do I have it wrong? There's a chance of the Blackhawk military helicopter equipped with anti-collision tech crashing into a passenger jet at the most protected airport in the U.S. It's highly unlikely that it was an accident. I guess that's what he's implying. But what about this craft? What about this military vessel? What do we know about this Blackhawk vessel? Well, we know this. This is from the Aviationist, and this is from October, right before the election. They were announcing, this is Lockheed Martin. This is the actual helicopter. It's remote. It's exclusive. Executive remotely controls the Blackhawk from 300 miles away. And so they were able to do a demo. This was back in October. So this is the thing that can be controlled remotely. It's very, very, very interesting when you look at it that way. Also of note, and we know this for a fact, it seems that it was coming from a CIA headquarters on its way to wherever it was headed. We don't know where it was headed. We know where it was coming from. And we know that the vessel itself can be controlled remotely. Now, let's see what our president, our newly elected president in his second term, what he had to say on Truth Social. And this is where things get even more messy, because you got this messy, we know Trump's a messy guy and he does messy things. Well, let's see what was his first reaction. You're not going to get this reaction from a Biden or an Obama or this. We know that. This is what we're going to get from Trump. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. So, of course, mainstream went crazy on Trump. How dare you suggest all this stuff? How dare you? You're not being a president asking these questions. Now, we here at the Homeless Left feel that these are good questions to ask. Is it appropriate that a president asks? Maybe, maybe not. But certainly we can ask these questions. What went wrong? What is it? Do we just write this off as an oopsie and move on? Well, then Trump gets on, I guess he's on in a press situation this morning, and he kind of steers to a different direction where I guess he's insinuating it might be a DEI problem, and I don't know if that's the right approach. Try it. Here it is.
Today, blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have. But they didn't build the systems properly. They spent a lot of money renovating a system, spending much more money than they would have spent if they bought a new system for air traffic controllers, meaning the computerized systems. There are certain companies that do a very good job. They didn't use those companies. They used companies that should not have been doing it. No, I think it's very important to understand.
Yeah, let's.
It's always bad management. It's never the system itself. It's always bad management.
Yeah, I and if you disagree with me if you think I think that his initial reaction was a little more open-minded to what could have gone wrong. Let's look at that. And I read that as we need to look at not just who effed up. We need to look at, was there something else going on here that we don't know about? That tweet, I wasn't upset by the tweet. For him to then double down, like you said, and just make this a personnel problem, it's interesting that he cut off that part of it. Do you get a sense that it was a little different? He kind of stepped back on this, let's be open and let's look into this, versus now it sounds like he's doing this DEI thing. What do you think?
I mean, it's full of, the dude's such a narcissist that it's really hard sometimes to get a beat. Yeah. We had an election. We didn't get the right results. This wouldn't have happened. We'd have had this. And, I mean, he's all over the fucking place. Yeah. And here's the thing. No matter what happens, even if it's something else, he has to always digress back to his talking points. Like he was talking the other day about deporting citizens. There's been repeat offenders 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And I'm saying, now, immigrants are committing crime, but we also have people here committing crime. It's like he has to always digress back to his talking points no matter what. And sometimes he's so committed to his talking points that he'll go over the top. They're eating the pets of the people who live there. They're eating the cats and dogs, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's really hard to get a beat on this guy when it comes to anything, because at the end of the day, he's just, when I look at him now, every single time he opens his mouth, he's just another cuck to the ruling class. So, I mean,
he doesn't know how to cut off his sentences, because I actually thought the thing that came out of that, he should have shut up after it. He said, this is a advanced game of chess. I think he used the word game of chess. And that part, I think, resonates. And that resonated with a lot of people on Twitter.
On a high level, he said, too.
Chess on a high level. Yeah. That's the part. That's the important part. All this other crap, he's just, he just keeps talking. He doesn't know when to shut.
It lessens his argument.
Yeah, it lessens his argument. But the advanced game of chess, the high level chess, that's what we should be looking at. So this part's important. Look, I got another shot of this actual crash, and somebody just kind of looking at a little closer at the angle of which it happened, because we're thinking about this remote technology, military technology that was involved. So check this out. This is kind of slow down a little. You guys can see the actual dot of the helicopter going in to the plane. Here we go. So the plane's in the okay. So you see on the left, the little dot is moving right up to it. Boom. Okay.
I mean, it's just so hard to think that they couldn't see that. The light. He even said the lights were blaring and whatnot. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Somebody said there were some soldiers on that board.
There were apparently 3 or 4 soldiers on the actual military craft. But as we know,
Jokers for you. Get that guy's up there. Jokers for you. Let him have his moment of glory here. We got audience participation. The 3 soldiers on the board obviously had nothing to do with it. Right for you, Jokers for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's get his previous one here. The technology to remotely control these choppers is more than available. So we know it. So again, we know it exists.
It's been available for a while.
We know it exists. Let's at least ask that question. And I think that Trump might have been alluding to that in the night before tweet out on Truth Social, and now he's backstepping and zeroing in on personnel problems. But we're looking at remote control possibly, so we know it exists, right? And maybe you're right, Joke. I think this is what I was saying. Joker's for you saying what I'm saying. Chess game is code. Yeah, it's code, and then he needs to shut up and stop running his mouth. That's the thing. Or unless that's part of it, right? You throw the code out, and then you do a little distraction monologue, and you get people like us irritated because we know that this just makes half the country insanely angry. So they're not paying attention really to anything. They're just hearing him ramble and say, "You're the one who fired all those employees. You're the one, and now you're going to talk about personnel problems. You just fired everyone, man. F you." So half the country's thinking that. And then they forget about the thing that's actually happening, which we're trying to look at. And we're looking at this stuff, man. Like your guy, Jason Burmis, has been on the show. He looked right at it. He said, "Hey, this is how they do Blackhawk." Let's watch this. I want to watch this. This is the Blackhawk remote. This is the exercise of what they're able to do with this exact chopper that went into the commercial airline last night. This is the video about it. Here it is.
Working hand in hand with the Army to modernize Blackhawk, to incorporate new technology, new capabilities to create the Blackhawk of the future. And one critical technology of all these things is autonomy. And that brings me here today.
Are we really going to fly this optimally piloted autonomous Blackhawk in Connecticut from 300 miles away right here in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is a resounding yes, we're going to.
Oh my God. You're going to see the aircraft come up to a stabilized hover, and this is going to simulate contested logistics operations where we would have a ground crew hooking up a sling load to the aircraft.
And this aircraft is holding position remarkably well.
Oh my God. You know, that thumbs up at the end, you know that those pilots on board last night, if that was the case, if it was a remote controlled operation, they would be going like this at least. It would not be a thumbs up. It would be like, holy crap.
Could you imagine if it was pilots in the Blackhawk and like what Kelly is saying right now, they wouldn't have been able to override that? Like they were just wow, you know, you're being sacrificed. Not even like Bane style. Bane says, "Brother, you must stay on board. They're expecting more things." And he says, you know what I'm saying? He tells the guy, "You're going to die."
Well,
these fuckers are just like, what's going on? What's going on?
This is, okay. If you listen to the Blackhawk Pilots discussing it online, all three were probably not even watching the sky when it happened, had no idea it was about to. Yeah, and then again, I want to go back to Kelly's previous one because I was wondering how they got the pilots to kamikaze. Well, look, we know how military operations go. We know that the idea that you're going to sign up for a job, sometimes you're the easiest really to give a job like that. You're even if whether you know it or not, you're no longer thinking for yourself. You're part of a larger operation, and you're just a mechanism in a larger machine. So these aren't
getting you to take your life though. That's
you might not know that you might not know. I mean, you're not being told all the information, and then you have maybe a few moments to figure it out. We're not in control of what's happening. But you've already been trained and conditioned to say, whatever my mission is, whatever my purpose is, I'm serving a larger good. And maybe you're okay with that in the last moments before you explode. But that's, you know, I'm sure that they're not giving all the information. Everybody's on a need-to-know basis when it comes to, you know, giving these kind of top-down orders and secret operations. If this were, in fact, a secret operation, and I say if, we don't know. Let me be absolutely clear. We don't know. This is the story that we're reporting is the #1 top censored news of the week. We know that the mainstream isn't going to ask this question. Military Blackhawk helicopter strike, and we put strikes down because it literally ran into the American Airlines commercial flight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't appear to be accidental. It might be, it might not be, but we want to ask those questions, and that's why we give you guys top censored news
of the week.
3
hours. We're in. We had 3 subjects. We couldn't even do it.
Well, we knew that we were going to get into it.
We knew it was going to be a long show. I have to go on another show tonight. I already did. I was supposed to do Burmese. We never got to get it done because we had technical difficulties. I was on AM Wake Up for 2.5 hours today. Did this show for 2, and I have another hour-and-a-half show tonight now with my friend Eric Hollerback, who's awesome. Love him. He does Klaus Schwab Jr. I'm going to do his show tonight at 7 o'clock. I don't know if it's live or it's taped, but I think it is live. So I'll be on another show tonight. And yeah.
Well, good, man. If you want to cut out, that's great. I either way, or stick around. I'm going to have Leslie come in. We're going to be doing a little talking back, and any of the comments we weren't able to get to, we'll get to some of them now.
You do it, Leslie. I'm gonna sorry.
That's all
God. I got Tull cells attacking me right now.
Okay.
Right, I told you, dude.
Okay.
I'm gonna go on Twitter and see how many groups I've been thrown out of because somebody blocked me.
Yeah. It's okay, man. You have principles. And by the way, we have a lot of, we're going to probably be sharing some of the comments we missed in the next segment with Talking About. And a lot of people were complimenting your principles throughout the show today. So just want to say that specifically, every time you kind of double down on those, on your principles, which it's so rare to see. It's so few and far between do what you do. So if it costs relationships, oh well, that's what we sign up for when we hold down principles. It's the cost of it, I guess, sometimes.
It is. But man, I love you and I had fun, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And we'll just keep it rocking and rolling. Great stuff, dude. Scott Armstrong said to say hi today. He was on AM Wake Up, and he's like, oh yeah, he does work with Shelby all the time. Scott's a unjected guy, and he was driving from Nashville to Cincinnati to go see his girl that he met on Unjected. So if you're an unjected guy and you want to find an unjected girl, or if you're an unjected girl and want to find an unjected guy, hey, if you're an unjected guy and want to find an unjected guy.
Or an unjected girl, they want to find an
right?
or if you're a couple looking for another couple, whatever. I'm just kidding.
But if you want to eat unjected meat, sorry, they all got mRNA.
By
the way,
that we can't help you with, unfortunately.
Got a new Facebook. It's called, just go to Pasta Jardula. It's the Drive Time Facebook. It will be used to kind of have some people come over to my show and get some more involved with the Drive Time show on Wednesdays I have on WBAI in New York. It's a great show. It's a call-in show. So I get to talk with the audience out there. It's on the radio. I get to play some old school hip hop to introduce myself, which, by the way, Jamie, that was January. We have to get off Reminisce, and we have to go from I think it was Pete Rock and CL Smooth. We have to go to Don't Check the we have to go to Eric B and Rakim. That's the next song. But it always ends with the Wu-Tang. Because cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all. And that's all I have to say for today. I love you, Matt. Say hi to Leslie for me.
All right, Craig. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Peace out, guys.
All right. We are moving on here to taking your guys' questions, your comments. We're going to be having conversation with you. Right now, I think we'll go ahead. Let me make sure we're good to go here. I'm gonna I think we're good. If we're ready, let's go ahead and do this. Okay. Okay, here we go. It's time for Talking Back. Here we are. Leslie, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Oh, yes. This is the setup. I like this setup with your background. Cool. It's a good, nice little mix there. I hope we don't have echo problems. Let me just make sure we're good on echo. Go ahead and test.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened last week. Are we okay?
I think we're okay. I'll let you know if we get a little echo. We'll try to make an adjustment. I think we're good. Okay. Well,
hello, everyone. It's really cool to see a lot of our regulars and a lot of new people that I have seen today. So really cool to have everyone on. We have quite a lot of comments actually. So let me start from, I guess, the very beginning, right, Matt?
Yeah, we can start there. And
Kelly's
and
words,
feel
I
free to
appreciate all her comments.
I'll let you know. I mean, we might have gone a few of them during the show, but we could just pick and choose. I know we got a lot of them, so whatever. We'll just wing it. It's all good. And I know we actually did get a couple. We might have gotten a couple. What do you call them? Rumble rants today, which was great. So
Rumble rant, yes.
yeah.
And you can put the ones that stand out to you too, but there's just so many since the very beginning. But I think you put this up already. Kelly's word says this should be more entertaining than the election integrity meeting I just left.
That's right.
Hello to everyone. A lot of shout outs. So Kelly did put a link that I'll check out later. That's a link to an episode of Left Reckoning with guest Michael Preissner. Did I say that wrong? About Tulsi's job of as civil affairs and psychological operations officer.
Mhm.
So the question for you, Matt. Okay, when I have used PSYOP in the past with people, the people that usually watch the mainstream media and stuff, a lot of people have not ever heard of the word PSYOP. How would you describe that to like a regular average Joe person so they don't look at you like you're a crazy conspiracy theorist?
That's a great question, Leslie. Great question. So
So I said that
PSYOP
at my job the other day and they're like, what?
yeah. No, so you have to start people. And this is what we were talking to Craig about earlier about sometimes you have to start the conversation with people. I know with Craig and like sometimes we like get ahead of people because we have all you guys watching and we've been doing this a little while. Craig and these guys, I mean, Jose even, he's very young, but he's been doing it even longer than I have.
No, Jose.
Yeah. But we kind of forget as we do this so much that we've left people kind of behind that don't know the basic terminology. And so we've moved into these new places of just like critical thinking that's going way beyond our friends and family and colleagues. So when you say PSYOP, we say it all the time. First, yes, how do we start that conversation? People want to know. Well, psychological operation. This is something that if you took, I would start the conversation like this. If you took psychology in high school, or you might even have been a psychology major, you understand how basic manipulation happens. They teach us this in school. What they don't teach us in school is how the government and government agencies like the CIA, FBI, all these agencies that and now you have these big tech companies that understand that data is everything. And once they got data on you using technology against us, they can do the things that we learned in school. We learned about how to in psychology, how people manipulate each other. And there's ways you can get people. We learn all this stuff. We learn about abuse, and like you could take sociology. You can learn about how people in power can abuse people that aren't in power, and have dysfunctional households and dysfunctional relationships. And we've all been down those paths. So on a larger level, a PSYOP is about implementing memories that are either untrue or completely fabricated, or a spin on what really is true. Also, yeah, so you can implant memories that aren't there. You can withhold information. I think that's the biggest one, is withholding information is a form of psychological warfare on people. When you withhold information, I'll give an example. The best example I can say about withholding information being a PSYOP is like more recently is the Hunter Biden laptop. That's a great example of a PSYOP where they pretend that this is a Russian disinformation campaign. They literally withhold the information from us. The mainstream media outlets had the information, and after the election of 2020, they bragged about the fact they had the information, and then they didn't let us see it. And even now, we don't have all the information. I mean, we have to do our own work on really going in there and saying what was in that laptop. And they spit. So they do. So these PSYOPs, on a more sophisticated level, the CIA conducts these, and they've been doing it the entire existence. And so I don't know if you're talking to people for the first time about it, I wouldn't start with, Operation Mockingbird. I wouldn't start with these, how, Ice Cube talks about how, crack was put into the ghetto on purpose. It was designed, it was a PSYOP operation. So it's a psychological operation, psychological warfare. on the people, that the hip hop community was a CIA operation. So we know you don't really want to start with that one, but you can start with the little things of the ones they brag about openly. Like they literally brag about withholding stuff from us, spinning stuff. And their excuse they give is it's for there's an ultimate goal, for the greater good. That's generally the way they can pretend they're on the right side. They're the good guys. It's for the greater good. We have to create these narratives. We have to withhold narratives. We have to spin stuff around in order to protect people for the greater good. And so that's it. So I would start small and then work your way up. But yeah, some people it's a while. It's a process to get there.
Yeah, it's so manipulative. So thank you for that, Matt. Oh, is Echo on again?
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna. I got you.
One more from Kelly's words, just because I like what she wrote. From the beginning, RFK running as them and complaining about how them primaries are rigged. Yeah, no kidding. No mention of DNC fraud lawsuit.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Thanks, Kelly.
From Nika Kent. Thank you very much for the tip. If he makes or attempts to make any actual change, if he gets in, I don't see him being around much longer. I'm just saying that's going to cost a few rich people a lot of money.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this one.
It was on Rumble, right? Kind of under Kelly's comment.
Oh.
The Rumble rant, is that what it's called?
I don't know why it's not coming. The Rumble rant apparently isn't coming up on our StreamYard, but that was there.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, you heard me, right?
I heard it, yeah.
If he makes or attempts to make any actual change, if he gets in, I don't see him being around much longer. I'm just saying that's going to cost a few rich people a lot of money.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's 100% true. 100% true.
From Beauty and the Boomer, thank you for the tip. According to RFK Jr., I'm a drain on the pool that I paid into my whole life. Not to mention, I was born at a time that Big Tobacco told my whole family smoking was safe. What chance did I have? From Chanda. Thank you for that comment. Let's see more. Another link from Kelly's words. We'll check that out. Let's see. And you can help me too, Matt. There's so many great comments.
Okay. Yeah, we we covered this already with the Bernie stuff, Beauty and the Boomer. Yeah, it's true. Go to Open Secrets. I want to remind people, go look at the money that Bernie took in 2020. It's all there. I know Craig didn't really want to talk about it too much. I get it. We don't want to totally attack him like that. But I mean, if we're in the business of attacking RFK and Tulsi for what they don't say in their Senate hearing today and yesterday, then we should also be in the business of having a paper trail account on Bernie, who did these things behind our back, and his own people walked out on him because they found out. They go, you can't do that, man. Stop taking this money or we're out. And he let them walk. That happened. So I thought it was good to bring that up again.
Yeah. And so in addition, Jokers for you, thanks for tuning in. He agrees with you. Bernie has been a sellout piece of S from the beginning and exposed how the deep state manipulate progressive voters. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jokers for you.
He should have been.
Kelly says exactly. Yes.
He should have been kicked out of office years ago by his own constituency. How do you say that word? Constituency.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'm ESL, guys. Let's see. Thank you, Jokers. Thank you, Kelly's words, for all the engagement. That's my comment. I won't read that. Let me find another one. Well, this is Jokers for you responding to my comment about being a healthcare worker and how many disparities I see every day at work. It is a war crime against humanity how the rich violate people's basic human rights to real healthcare treatment. Nurses like you who care make the difference for millions of people every day. Thank you. Well, I really appreciate that comments, Jokers for you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you are an example.
To the best of my ability.
You are an example of going into the lion's den and doing the good work from the inside is what you do. And so you prove that is possible. We don't know if it's possible in politics. We don't know if you can go into a position of power and actually get something done because you have to sign all these, you have to do all these negotiations to even get in there. And once you get in, your hands are already tied. So you're doing it not on the political spectrum. You're doing it within the institution itself of healthcare. You're going inside and you're saying, I'm gonna make something good come out of this. I'm gonna bring the humanity that's lacking. I'm gonna bring the human connection. I'm gonna bring the making the best decision for people, helping people make decisions good for them, not good for the profit of the company, not good for the shareholders and CEOs. And you're doing the best you can without being kicked to the curb. So it's hard, but you're doing it, and
really hard. Yeah.
I bet.
I'm doing my best, but us healthcare people are also very limited in what we can do and almost controlled. I mean, we are controlled. Everything we do, everything we say to patients, everything we share, it must be documented. So we're very limited in what we can do, but I try my best. You know that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jokers, for you. That was really nice of you to say. Another thing that stood out to me when Pasta said, when people show you who you are, you listen to them, you believe them. So Kelly's words also said that as well. Let me scroll down. Jokers for you, Nika Kant. Thank you so much for your comments. Yes, so many good things here. I wish I can read all of them, but I don't have 2 hours yet. Kelly's words, this whole nonsense of pro or anti-vaccine, they are gray areas, and being against some is not all. I know that, but say that out loud to the people I know or to a lot of people on Facebook and Instagram, right, Matt?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very black and white with a lot of people, unfortunately. Bad guy, good guy. Yeah. Let's see. A lot of big pharma comments. They're talking about Tulsi. Oh, Warren, Elizabeth Warren, who we're talking about here.
Well, I don't know.
The vaccine has become code for big pharma, and big pharma created this alignment. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me scroll down a little bit. When did you talk about Elizabeth Warren? Like an hour ago?
It was right after the Bernie thing, before Tulsi. We went through the order of happenings. We did Bernie, we did, Bernie versus RFK. We did Elizabeth Warren versus RFK. We went through all of the different things there. But
I read this one earlier and I was like, ooh, that was an interesting. I'd never thought about this kind of USMC9. I see your baby blue shirt, Paul. Israel first, and lower, if you see a baby blue tie or shirt, they are telling APAC, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, got that right there. So that was RFK USMC9. Yeah. That's the shirt. Rand Paul was wearing the baby blue tie. That was Rand Paul. So the blue, there's a blue element there. I mean, whatever, it might be on the clothes, it just might be in their behavior in general. But yeah, we know that everything we talked about today, and it's funny that we talked so much about big pharma and the corruption of the system and the Zionism discussion. I mean, we didn't even I don't even think it came up to right about when he put the comment up, when USMC9.
Wonder what that means. What does that mean, USMC9?
I don't know.
He also says Matt is a good guy. He or she. I didn't mean to put a gender in this. USMC9. Matt is a good guy.
Thank you for that. Very cool. Yeah.
Another link. Thank you, Kelly. Let's see. Pasta on the money. Thanks for that comment too. Love it.
That's right. He was. Hard to argue with Pasta for sure.
Matt gets very passionate about everything he's saying. So I know US also said Matt smile. And I'm like, he does smile, but he's just very passionate, very, passionate speaker. And he means what he says. Everything you say is with intent. So sometimes I'm also like, oh, Matt's very into this subject right now. But that's just how you are. But that was funny. I thought that was funny.
No, that's good. I needed that. I smiled when I saw the comment, but we didn't post it back then. Yeah. Very good.
Everything you say is with great intent. So it's just very passionate. I like that about you. Kelly's words, anti-genocide is not pro-Hamas. Yeah, I know that too. We all know that, but a lot of people don't know that. And so I have been attacked for being in protest, for speaking out loud, for saying things against the genocide. And I think for a lot of people, I might be an anti-Semite now.
Yeah.
I'm pro Hamas. That's one of the first questions they asked me and you when we started talking out loud is, well, do you condemn Hamas, Matt? Do you condemn Hamas?
Well, you know what? We've gotten even better at answering that question, because that was like, oh, gotcha. Well, you don't want to answer. You don't want to answer. Well, no, I do. I wish I could go back when they were asking us that at UCLA. Do you condemn Hamas? During the UCLA protests that we were there, you were there with me. We saw these crazy. I mean, they're crazy. These guys were they're just and the protesters were the peaceful ones, and the Zionists are like, I'm gonna get you. And that was their big go-to, right? It was, do you condemn Hamas? And if I can go back, I'd be like, no, I don't. And that's also not being pro Hamas. You don't have to condemn someone to not be pro that thing. What I would say is, no, I don't condemn them. You have a right to resist, right? You have a right to resist being captured like that, being occupied. You have a right to resist occupation. Now, am I going to then be critical of how they went about it? That's a different discussion. But I'm not going to condemn the right that people have to resist occupation. That's the correct answer. You have a right to do that.
Well, Matt, I think the education system really failed us.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a question here, I think by Kelly as well. Why are so few people paying attention to the fact Gabbard is in Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations? It's not hard to find this info. It's not for some people, but it is for a lot of people. So I'm not really sure if people are lazy or they just trust.
So I want
media, or they just like to be fed information and regurgitate everything they're told.
You know what was funny is we had, Kelly's great. Kelly's been on the show. She's got so much insight, and I appreciate you, Kelly, engaging with us today.
We appreciate it.
The same episode Kelly was on, we had Monica Perez on, and we didn't have them on together. So I had Monica Perez come on, and then Kelly came on second. And during Monica Perez, we talked about this, and it was very interesting because I pulled up a clip. I don't have it with me now, but I pulled up a clip of Tulsi clearly being a psyop situation when it came to Israel and like defending. And I think Monica was like trying to hold on the idea that there was a chance that she just has to maneuver just right, and then you could be like, no, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. And I remember we were like, that's not good. And so that's on that same episode, Kelly. You're on that, so it's funny you're bringing this up, and it was in that same. I was already in that mindset of we just got to find the footage. I got to tell you guys, it's hard doing this show. It's fun doing this show. I want you guys to understand, like we do this for you. We do this for truth, justice, principle, getting to the bottom of stuff. We want humanity to be better. That's why we do this show, and putting the show together for you guys. It can be hard sometimes. A lot of work. I'm up real late, up real early, putting stuff together. One of the hardest things to do is getting the clips, getting the right sound bites. And people think that, really? Why don't you show me? Oh, why don't you show me your proof? What's your source? It's like, we have it all. It's all in our heads. I mean, we got everything. But I can't just whipping stuff out, going back in time, finding the right thing. It's a lot of work. When we get it right, we get it right. Sometimes though, we like right now, it's like, I wish I could just put the clip on. This is it. I don't have it in front of me. So sometimes you guys have to take our word for it. But when we're starting conversations with outside people that aren't used to thinking like this, aren't used to doing their own research, it's hard. You have to go find these things in advance, because if you don't have it ready, show me. I don't believe you. I don't believe Obama said we have to deport everyone who's illegal in 2014. No, he did. Press play. There it is. There's your clip. He said
you show me that clip.
Yep. So, but we have to be. It's a tough skill to develop. So, you guys watching at home, you can also learn this skill. It just takes practice. Just go find it. Go cut it. Go clip it. Go find it. Look for the keyword. You can find it. People are on Twitter putting this stuff up all the time. So when the next time you have a friend or family going, no, that didn't happen. They're memory holding. That's what it's called, memory holding. When they want to pretend something didn't happen, you're like, play the clip. So that's what we like to do. We like to prepare stuff for you guys. We appreciate you giving us a reason to do this and putting that extra effort in to find that stuff and back it up, right? Back up your points. That's what we try to do here.
Let me read this one. That was a little interesting to me. Jokers for you. If you look at Tulsi's father and the connection timing he had with Obama's career, success from Hawaii, and the huge military presence in Hawaii, the timing of Tulsi coming on the scene.
Oh yeah, we've gone down that rabbit hole. That's so interesting because at the time of the Obama, and it was Trump. Trump was just a public personality at the time. He wasn't a politician, and he was the one saying, "We don't. This Hawaii birth certificate thing is very odd. It's very odd." At the time, we thought, "Come on, dude, stop harassing the." We thought it was racist. You're being racist, trying to pretend that this non-white guy, even though he's half white, by the way, he's half white. So I don't know. We don't. Okay. But Obama. Oh, is this racist to even suggest? No, it was worth asking and worth suggesting because we've gone down that rabbit hole. And we got, oh my God, that stuff in Hawaii is so bad, guys. If you haven't looked at it, it's so bad. And yes, Tulsi was there right when she was coming on the scene. You're 100% right, jokers for you. Anybody who is interested in revisiting that, if you were like me and you remembered at the time that it was just some loudmouth Republican BS, I'm not going to listen to that. No, it's pretty bad what happened. The creation of Obama's birth certificate, it is fabricated. I'm telling you guys, I've seen it. It's been fabricated. It's not real. It's the Hawaii thing it's a big scam. And man, Hawaii really let us down even in the last couple years with the whole Lahaina fires. I mean, it's insane. So yes, remember that Tulsi comes from Hawaii. Yes, she's part of that monster.
I gotta agree with Kelly again. Jose is the best, 25 and way ahead of the curve and open-minded. Is Jose really 25?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He is such an inspiration to old ladies like me. I'm just kidding. But I am way over a decade older than him, and well, not way over, but that's amazing. And every time I see him on screen, or every time I see him in his protests, or causing a ruckus in
Oh, Jamie says he's 26. Yeah.
Ooh, where you're off. Anyway, he's amazing. He's an inspiration. I wish there's more people like him.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had his courage, actually. There's a few times where we together or myself have been to places where there's a conference or something, and I'm really, or even when we go to a movie and the celebrities come out and that we know something about them or they're Zionists or whatever, I'm so tempted to say something, but I just Jose is so brave. He's an amazing person.
Yeah,
we should have him more often here. Yeah. So I agree with you, Kelly. Let's see. Let me scroll down. The narrative is from Jokers. The narrative is what is powerful because public opinion has real power. It's not about any individual's personalities. It's about the narratives they support or promote. Thank you.
That was the end of it. Yeah, that's great. Good. Thank you for that, Jokers. For you.
About power.
Yeah.
And where you get your power from. Thank you. Let's see. Scrolling down. We're not even halfway. Is there any that stand out to you too? Let's see.
We put a few of these up during the show, which is great. This was during our conversation with Jose. We did a few of them. I like this one.
There's a new person here. Oh, which one?
Yeah, this is the problem is that this is.
Oh, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah. The problem is that Tulsi is a member of the U.S. military. As such, her freedom of speech is incredibly limited, as is her ability to represent U.S. citizens. Everyone needs to understand this.
USMC disagrees.
Oh, I see.
The U.S. Congress, you're wrong.
Yeah. Oh, and can I also say, okay, no, that's a fair point. Maybe but maybe it's a matter of they can both be right, because the point is that you do have an extra thing you signed up for, like a lifelong commitment to certain secrets and certain things you're allowed to talk and not talk about, even when you're no longer serving. But yeah, in front of Congress, technically, everyone's supposed to have the you're supposed to be completely honest in front of Congress. You're not supposed to be able to keep any sort of NDA, I guess, as we would say in Hollywood. That's not necessarily on paper. You're not supposed to, but you never know. It could be something to at least keep in mind. Also, I should mention that USMC is U.S. Marine Corps. That's what that is. Thank you, Jamie, for pointing that out. So thank you, USMC 9, for that. Let's see. Anything else here?
They're all great comments. It's great
Yeah, thank you, guys.
conversations here on the side.
We're gonna have to wrap it up here soon.
Yeah, let's see. Let me see. Oh, Wishigo is on. What's up, Wishigo? Yeah, he thanked Tulsi. We all thank him for coming on.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Jose. And we were able to coordinate that awesomely. And like, he came right out of the room. So we got to do some real journalism, what the mainstream media doesn't do. We like tell you guys what was happening inside the closed doors. And he told it. Jose was the one to report first that they had a closed door session after they kicked everyone out. Closed door session there with Tulsi. Fantastic. I mean, that explains everything. So when she's probably going to get confirmed. RFK Jr. is probably going to get confirmed, and has to be a negotiation that happens, that they're going to have to sign something that says, I will not do this. You confirm me, I will not go after this person. You confirm. So this idea that, they're going to go in, Trump's going to get all his people in, they're going to go after the deep state, they're going to go after, well, if you get in, you have to sign this thing saying you're not going to go after person A, person B, person C. So that might be happening, and that might be the way the deal gets made right there.
Yeah, I saw that Chatter X came on, and Chatter X always has great comments, links, quotations. I mean, there's so many, but thanks for tuning in, Chatter X. CIA loves to put people. I went past like dozens of comments, Matt. CIA loves to put people on drugs. Look up Artichoke MK Ultra Project. Ooh, I know that.
Yeah.
Chatter X, you're always
I got one. Oh, Sherry came in. Hey, Sherry.
Came in too. Hi, Sherry.
Wise. She did a little Gavin's little dance of greed. That's that. Yeah. I can't even believe like he's for real.
How dare he do that?
Looks like Gavin Newsom's doing a caricature of himself as he's doing it. I'm just like, I can't believe he's doing the dance, the Gavin dance. So yeah, good call on that one. Yeah. I think let's maybe a couple more and we'll call it. There's some new comments that came in down at the end.
I got 3. Wishigo says it wouldn't be the first time the U.S. have used remote aircraft technology against its own citizens. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, we look at all this stuff. We look at you look at the technology that it exists. So it's hard to argue that. This is a hard conversation to have with people. They don't want to hear about the government would actually hurt its own people. Like, they don't want to believe that. Well, okay. So you ask them first, do you think the capability of doing it is there? Does the technology exist? If they say no, show them that it exists. Here it is. It exists. Do you think that we wouldn't do it because we'll do it to other people but not us? Do you think it's something where we draw the line? There's a moral compass that comes into play. So all the greedy people that control the world, we go into other countries. We know we destroy other people. We assassinate their presidents. We steal their resources. We put sanctions on all their people. We literally declare war on them for no reason and fund genocides and all this stuff, proxy wars. We know all that. So you think that the moral code stops for them? We wouldn't hurt our own people. Other people. Not hard. Really? Okay. But we have the technology. We just all of a sudden a moral code just kind of kicks into gear. I got it. Right. All right.
All right. Oops, some feedback there. She's like, Jamie said, Matt does a good blue steel face. So I was like, what is that? I Googled.
No, that's Ben Stiller. And I don't like the reference to Ben Stiller being that he's a complete
I know.
Zelensky propagandist sellout. He wants
that
to direct.
Thing he did was ridiculous.
Ben Stiller wants to direct himself in the lead role of the Zelensky Chronicles or whatever the hell he thinks it's going to be called. He thinks that's in the works. And then, but he's up against Sean Penn, who also, Sean Penn would want to direct. He's too old to play Zelensky. Ben Stiller, he can do a little whatever dance theater flamboyant thing he has to do to become Zelensky. He's working on it now. And I bet he'd be willing to step aside directing duties to Sean Penn if the two of them could team up and do the Zelensky Chronicles or the story of the big biopic of the great hero of the West that saved us from Putin. Yeah, I don't know who would watch. Actually, I do know who would watch that. I know who would watch that. Our friends and family and colleagues right here.
I know who would watch that too.
Oh my God. They'd be like, Ben Stiller's playing Zelensky. Oh, yeah.
The hero.
But this is from Zoolander for the reference. It's oh no, there we go. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I can.
That's funny. There you go. You look just like him. I'll read two more. From Chatter X, like 20 minutes ago or something. It is a function of the CIA to keep the world unstable and to propagandize and teach the American people to hate. So we will let the establishment spend any amount of money on arms.
Yeah. Thank
What
you
is
for
that
that.
reality?
That is a quote by John Stockwell, former CIA official, who would know best, I guess. He would know best. Thank you for that, Chatter
I
X.
love how Chatter X writes all these quotes. It's really, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chatter X, for tuning in always. And then one more from which she go, resistance is justified when people are occupied.
There you are. You know what? That's a great one to end on.
One-liner.
That's a great one to end on. Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, you know what? Thank you so much, everyone. And Leslie, thanks for coming on and doing some talking back. We like to involve you guys and understand that we're all doing this together. This is a real movement, a real populist movement of people that are feeling homeless from wherever you come from. We're doing this together. We're taking on the world day by day with our curious minds and our courage. Courageous souls, or whatever we have to do to get up in the morning and say, let's take these things on. We're not part of a party. We're not part of a team, a tribe. We're just looking at the world the best we can with our critical thinking skills. But it does take courage. It takes principles. It takes conviction, all those things. So I hope you guys feel inspired by that. And Leslie, thanks for talking back with us today.
Of course, I'm happy to always. And hi to Sherry White. She just said hi, Matt and Leslie. Having a hard time with Rumble?
Having a hard time, Rumble. I don't know. Well, hey, you might want to check us out on our burner channel on YouTube until they take it off. I can't wait.
Until we figure out. Wait a minute. This is that Matt Weinglass spreading all those lies and what is it? Misinformation, disinformation.
Yeah, they're gonna find us. They're gonna take it down. We've only been up for a couple weeks. We've been putting this up. It was actually an old account I had. I positioned it, so it was like I had it from like 10 years ago. But didn't do anything with it, and then I just kind of retitled it THL Presents. I'm like, I wonder if this will work. And Craig was like, Nah, dude, they're gonna get you, man. Don't even try. He said, don't even try it. I'm like, I think it's worth a try. Let's try it. So we're going for it. We're going for it. They haven't found us yet. Couple weeks we've been throwing stuff up. We're doing a live feed on there right now. Like they're hearing us talk. YouTube is hearing us talk about how we're faking our account on them right now. They're hearing my voice and it's going into their system. It's insane. Whatever. I don't care. But if Rumble is not working, go to YouTube. But you guys know we're on Rumble and Twitter X at the same time. We go Twitter X. What's it called? Twitter X.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. I think that's all. If you want to actually, let's just sign off together. I'm good. I don't have anything else to say. I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank Craig and Jamie behind the scenes, man. You've been awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Cheese slice on the ones and twos, as Pasta likes to says. And of course, Jose coming in with us. Yeah, I think we're good.
And power to the people.
Power to the people. I'm gonna cue up the ending here. I think we have a funny end. Oh, I know what we have for the end. This is funny, guys. This is somebody put out a little violin woe is me. What is it called? Playing a violin when somebody is having it. It was Jim Acosta. We covered him on Tuesday. Jim Acosta had to resign from CNN after Trump just kept bashing him over and over, as well deserved. He deserved to be bashed, and now he has to resign. And it's just really sad to watch. So, guys, enjoy that little violin tune behind Jim Acosta's final final broadcast on CNN. Poor guy, poor propagandist. He's out of work now. With that, we'll see you guys next Tuesday and Thursday. And I think that's it. Yeah, power to the people. Power to the people, yeah.
Free Palestine. Bye-bye, everyone.
Free Palestine. All right, see you guys.
Time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope.